What is going on, everybody? It is episode 609 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. Today we have a returning guest on the show. Hello. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm the Kino Corner, and I have a question for you all.
What is it?
Don't you just love Planet of the Apes?
Oh, yes. Look, we're
Highlight of my life.
Highlight of my life, right? Was watching that movie last night.
I'm just really disappointed. I know it's outside of your control at this point, but I was expecting a monkey suit today.
Yeah, what the hell?
So
we were
the
cheated out of
point.
Yeah, that was literally the selling point. Now,
unfortunately, the mask did not arrive.
It's just a monkey shirt.
Well, yeah. So I went on to Amazon, right? I bought the monkey mask like 2 weeks ago. And then they say, oh, it was delivered. So I go out to my porch. It's not there. I go to my mailbox. It's not there. So I get on.
Some other person got a monkey suit in the mail
I don't know what kind of like porch pirate would be like, oh, let me steal this guy's monkey mask, like
they're everywhere.
That doesn't make any sense to me. So I go to Amazon customer service, and then I was in this like battle with Amazon, and basically what ended up happening is every time I reordered it, it just never showed.
That happens to me when I order like the ice waters, like the bottled ice water.
Yeah.
And it's like the one item I get stuff delivered all the time, but whenever they send that, they send it to the next store address. They never bring that specific item to the right address.
It's just to spite you.
Literally just because it's like look, normally you're ordering clothes that's light. When you order something even mildly heavier, they're like, we're gonna make you carry it.
I mean, it's just annoying because now we've watched this movie that was just so aggressively mediocre for no reason, and we only did it because we wanted to see you in a monkey suit. But here we are.
I mean, there are other ways to see me in a monkey suit. Maybe I'll start an OnlyFans where I'm not nude. I'm just wearing a monkey suit in various places.
Great.
Perfect. Guys,
link below.
We'll put the spicy link
below.
Apes in bio.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that today. We're gonna talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
The rise of the kingdom of the planet of the world.
The rise of the kingdom of the planet of the monkey of the ape. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it, but we got a bunch of other stuff to get into. But before we do that, guys, would you hit the like button on this video, please, down there, and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. It's the best way that you can help the show grow, along with sharing these videos with your friends, family, and loved ones, so that they too can watch this show and share it with their friends, families, and loved ones. It really does help us. So please go ahead and do that.
You're saluting right now.
I'm saluting my subscribers that are in the chat, and they're saying salute to the single moms.
We're going to refrain from doing that, but thank you.
Yes. Also, remember, guys, all Super Chats, $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read those Super Chats right then and there, and then we will get back on topic. So perhaps if you want to see us interrupt a discussion to salute single moms, it would have to be a $20 Super Chat. So
all right.
Those are the rules.
I'm annoyed because my eye is doing that thing again where it's just crying.
I think you know what it is. I think it's that deep down you want to cry more, but like you don't.
I have to let out my emotions.
You don't know how. So then every once in a while your body just
it's like all that suppressed emotion from watching that emotional ending of Apes movie.
Let's face it, you're still a girl.
Yeah. This is my woman moment right now.
So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. First things first, we got a follow up on the story from yesterday about the Lord of the Rings Gollum movie that's getting made. A fan film was censored by Warner Brothers and then subsequently uncensored after backlash. So we're going to talk about that. I also want to get your thoughts on Planet of the Apes, on Lord of the Rings continuing to make movies in 2024. We're also going to talk about Kevin Spacey being uncanceled by Hollywood. Hollywood director basically says, look, he was found not guilty. Therefore, I'm going to put him back in a movie. He's making a movie about Frank Sinatra in which he's going to be in that biopic.
Not just any Hollywood director.
No, I know.
The guy who wrote Taxi Driver.
Yep.
Yeah, ironic, isn't it?
So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about AI movies are here officially. there's an AI movie we're going to watch this trailer for, and it's everything you imagine it was. There's also this article from Breitbart about backlash to an Apple ad that has some people upset. So we're going to discuss that. And then, of course, we will talk about the aggressively average Planet of the Apes movie that came out. Wes Ball made it, and it was very much, I left kind of in the exact same state I went into it as.
Yeah. But that cliffhanger ending, though.
I know.
I need to consume more.
It's going to be, it's fine. I've got thoughts. Like, I actually wrote stuff down. I have takes, but it's just, at the end of the day, I saw, like, all the reviews for it, and everybody's was kind of the same. It's kind of like, had some good stuff, had some bad stuff.
Didn't make me want to die.
Yeah, so that's high praise these days. So if you guys are ready, we will just go ahead and get right into it. Mary, you ready?
I think I'll try to be ready.
It is a Friday. We'll try.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready.
He's ready. Let's go ahead and get started then. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, this is good news. I don't care what anyone says. I have changed my mind about twisters. Okay?
Because you want to see cows suffer.
I want to see a cow that is completely spun in circles by a tornado of fire.
Until
and I don't care what anyone says.
Comes out.
Fire!
Exactly. Until Beavis and Butthead are in the tornado. Let's go ahead and watch the trailer for Twisters and let us know what you think. I will say off the bat, and I want to know your opinion on this. Do you think that trailer length equates to good or bad? I think when a trailer is too long, it's worrisome. When a trailer is pushing 3 minutes, it's worrisome.
I don't necessarily think so. I think it really comes down to how good their marketing team is. Okay. I've seen movies that were terrible that had 1.5-minute long trailers, and I've seen really good movies that had 3-minute long trailers.
If they were really evil, they'd be going through all the tornadoes that are going on right now with some type of viral marketing campaign. But I don't think.
Well, actually, you might not know this, but Hollywood has a lot of power, and they're actually using HARP to generate all these tornadoes right now.
It's them.
Yeah. It's actually Hollywood that's causing all these tornadoes.
It's like the fake cloud generators that Shane has been warning us about. I'm looking at the Fall Guy trailer right now, and it's 3 minutes 20 seconds. So I wouldn't say that's like always
but it's not doing
a rule
well, though,
to follow.
But it's not doing well. That's the problem.
Well, I guess that's true, but that doesn't mean it's not good.
Okay. Well, let's watch this trailer, and you guys let us know what you think in the comments. So we're gonna watch this. We're gonna get copyright claim to hell, and we'll have to edit it out later. It is what it is. That's a rough one when the director's like, okay, you got to really deliver that line.
We've never seen tornadoes like this before.
All right, and then the song "Never Met a Girl."
Is that
Like You
Dua
Before.
Lipa?
The chat that said weather is nerd stuff, not cowboy stuff. I'm like, yes, but what about nerdy cowboys? Is that a thing?
I saw City Girl Meets Country Boy.
There you go.
It's like a Hallmark movie.
Y'all should watch this one with Shane.
Why? He'll have more cloud theories?
Look. Yeah. All I know is that, so apparently, like, fire tornadoes are a real thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, according to somebody on the internet. So I'm gonna just accept it as true because somebody on the internet,
lasers.
Because somebody on the internet told me that fire tornadoes are real, so therefore they're real. I'm 110% behind this movie. You're correct. No mention of climate change, but I'm guessing that would appear in the movie.
They'll wait to
does.
You guys know about the climate change Bechdel test, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
It needs a name though. It shouldn't just be called the climate Bechdel. It needs like a name.
I said that should be two trees talking to each other about something other than humans for at least 5 minutes.
And you said it should be called the algorithm.
The algorithm, yeah. So I coined that, just so everyone knows.
Look, and then when they get done with this, they'll make a sequel with Sharknado, and then it can be Twisters, Shark Twisters.
Is it really so exceptional for a movie to be shot entirely on film these days that it needs to be mentioned here?
Yes. Yeah. It's more work for the studios.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, a lot of movies that are coming out are still shot on film.
I mean, like big budget studio movies?
Yeah.
Like what? What recently?
Recently, yeah. I'd have to look at, but a number of like the Best Picture nominees last year were shot on film.
But this is like I guess what I think of like this not being like something that's art house or design.
Like a horror thing?
A lot of DC movies are shot on film.
Like award-based films.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman movies were shot on film.
1 and 2?
I don't know about 2 because I didn't really care about 2.
Nobody
but
did.
I know the first one was definitely shot on film. Yeah, it's
more
kind of-
expensive to do still, right? Because of
it really depends. Yeah, I would say it really depends because like with digital, you need like more people on set. Like, you need like DITs and you end up shooting terabytes and terabytes of footage, and so you end up getting like having to spend so much money on hard drive space that you don't necessarily need to spend on film. And when it comes down to like $100 million movie or something, the amount of money that you're going to be putting down for equipment, whether digital or film, is honestly just like negligible. The money's going into VFX and the money's going into the actors. It's like when you look at like, oh, the film might cost another $50,000 or something like that, but it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But when you have $100 million or $150 million, it's
You a fan of the original Twister?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but
neither have I. But still,
yeah,
like,
I used to watch it a lot as a kid.
It's really funny because when the first trailer came out, my initial thing was like, look, no Bill Paxton, what do you do? But then I remembered no Philip Seymour Hoffman either.
Yeah. And
that kind of makes it hard to do. But Glenn Powell is, he's big right now. He is, and he's got more charisma than your average actor of the new generation.
I'm gonna see Glenn Powell next week. I'm going to the world premiere of Hitman.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the director Richard Linklater. Glenn Powell and Linklater are, they're both Austin locals, so the Hitman premieres in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does this? I imagine that you're not a disaster movie person. Look, I'm unapologetically a fan of the disaster movie genre. I loved Moonfall. I don't care what anyone says. It was the stupidest movie I've ever seen, and I loved every second of it.
Is that really a whole subgenre?
Yeah.
Disaster? Yeah.
I mean, like what would fit into that?
Roland Emmerich.
The Poseidon Adventure from the original Poseidon Adventure, and then there was that remake Poseidon. There was also 2012. The Day After Tomorrow was also a disaster movie. And
one of the earliest climate change pieces of propaganda you'll ever see.
Yeah.
He's like, he literally, the movie happens, climate change just happens after a climate change conference. Like, literally, he's like, he gets
Greta
done.
was right.
He gets done giving a speech about climate change, and then literally it all happens at once. And he's like, I thought this would happen way later. Like 100 years from now, which isn't really all that far later.
I just want to say that, like, you were asking if the disaster movies were a real genre. Don't you know that there's a movie called Disaster Movie that was like, like Epic Movie and Meet the Spartans? Those same terrible people made disaster movies.
Would Contagion count as a disaster movie?
That would be like a Outbreak or
I don't know.
I think that's a different genre.
It's a different kind. I mean, I guess maybe sort of kind of disaster movie. Deepwater Horizon, somebody said, in the chat,
I still love Day After Tomorrow. Like, I do. I like Emmy Rossum, though.
I think that I watched Day After Tomorrow once in the theaters when it came out, and then I haven't seen it again.
Very young Jake Gyllenhaal in that.
Yeah.
Like, very young
Wasn't
Jake
Ashton
Gyllenhaal.
Kutcher in that?
Was he?
I don't know.
If he was, it's not a character I remember.
It was... I mean, the movie came out 20 years ago. So
2004?
I saw it in the theaters 20 years ago.
Or actually, no, look, I made like a big mistake on it. Like, when did that movie come out? Did it come out in 2004? Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong about that one. But look, I look at something like this, and look, if there is climate propaganda, they kept it out of the trailer. Of course, they would be smart enough to do that. But for the most part, when it comes to movies, I feel like that type of stuff is more prominent in television shows than it is in big budget movies that they're trying to push to the audiences. You're more likely to see propaganda in casting these days than you are in that type of message.
Was there any climate mention in the Aquaman 2 trailers?
No.
That was a bait and switch.
Yeah, that movie definitely had it.
It was like heavily.
Yeah, having
there.
to hear Nicole Kidman deliver a line about greenhouse gases at the bottom of the ocean almost made me want to just end it all. It almost did.
We are forgetting one of the best disaster movies of all time, Armageddon.
Yes.
Armageddon. Michael Bay. Look, no director more American than Michael Bay. Anyone who hasn't seen Pain and Gain needs to go watch it right now.
He's the funny thing about it was when I watched that movie the first time, I didn't really understand how awesome the part it is when he says basically like, we don't want to pay taxes again ever. It's such an FU to the government. When you really think about the fact that the government doesn't want to do it either, despite the fact that they're literally trying to prevent the entire world from blowing up. And they're like, oh, but these four guys' taxes, that'll really turn around this country. But they finally have to. And then they do this thing where in the audio commentary where basically Ben Affleck goes to him and he says like, why wouldn't you train astronauts to be oil drillers rather than or whatever
rather than vice versa?
And then he goes, shut the fuck up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, that really comes down to, there was a great video of Michael Bay. It has since been deleted from the internet, but I don't know. You guys know that director Peter Berg? He made like Lone Survivor and Deepwater Horizon. Anyways, he would Peter Berg would upload videos to his Instagram of him being insane, like him having freakouts on set, him being in the editing room, bullying his editor, him editing and screaming, and there's and it was some of my favorite content on the internet to ever exist. But there was one where he's he's editing, maybe it was Deepwater Horizon, it was one of his films, and he starts going, oh my God. Am I allowed to say the F word?
Well, you just did.
I kind of stopped.
He's okay, I'll censor it. He's like, we're so effed. I'm effed right now. We're effed. This is effing bad. And Michael Bay is on the couch behind him, just lying down. And Michael Bay just kind of sits up and goes, Peter, we're not effed.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Look, anybody who's watched this channel for a long time knows that I'm unapologetically pro Michael Bay in all things. I don't care what anyone says. I love every Transformers movie. Not equally, but I do love all of them. I don't care how stupid they are.
You didn't like the last one.
He didn't make that one.
Oh, okay.
I love the ones that he made.
It was so epic when he had TJ Miller just killed off instantly.
It's awesome. And look, he had one movie that I really didn't like recently. I didn't like Ambulance. I
still need to see Ambulance.
I really didn't like Ambulance. They really worked to make Isaac Gonzalez the least likable character you've ever seen in your entire life while watching. I still love his cinematography, the way his movies are shot.
Yeah.
Except that movie's all drone footage because it was shot during COVID, so LA was basically empty.
Yeah.
So outside of the drone footage, everything that's actually shot on location that's not in the sky, I love the ridiculously oversaturated look. I love the 360 camera shots. I love everything about it. It is big budget cinema, how I believe that it should
be. But he made that for a much smaller budget though. I think that was $50 million.
Look, and I don't and I love the Michael Bay slow-mo too. I do.
Yeah.
I do. So it's good. And I think this director looks like he's got I didn't really think of Twister as a disaster movie though. I didn't. It's the genre was relatively new at that time. What year did Twister come out? 2000 and
no,
I'm sorry, 1990.
Came out in the 90s. No, the disaster movie genre was pretty big in the 70s. There were a lot of disaster movies in the 70s, but it was kind of I think that big budget movies just went into a different direction in the 80s. So I think that Twister was sort of maybe a revival of that genre in a way.
Yeah, I mean that came out around the same time as Independence Day, right? They would have been within a couple of years of each other.
Yeah, they came out around the same time. Yeah,
and I love all those movies.
Did you ever do
especially.
Did you ever do the Twister thing at was it Universal Studios or something? They had a Twister exhibit.
Bro,
cool.
We were poor. I didn't go. I didn't go to Universal.
Well, I'm from Florida, so you know.
That makes sense. So I say, look, if how about this? We'll review it for you guys.
Sure.
And if it's chock full of climate propaganda, we will let you know. Otherwise, just kind of base your opinions on whose reviews of ours. I always say when people get mad when I tell somebody to go watch something, they're like, but you like everything. I'm like, well, if you've watched the stuff that I've watched and you decided you liked some of it or you didn't like some of it, then base your opinion on my views off what I've said in the past, but use it as a guide. You don't just blindly take everyone's opinion for it. Use if you agree with what I say most of the time with the stuff that I like or dislike, then go and check it out. But we will keep you guys informed for that. It's gonna be fun. All right, let's go ahead and move on then, shall we? So Garfield's gonna be coming out soon. I saw many posters for this when we were in LA. I did.
When is that coming out again?
I believe next month.
Is Bill Murray going to be in it?
No, it's Chris Pratt is playing Garfield.
I love the story about how Bill Murray was in the first Garfield because he thought it was the Coen brothers who were directing it or writing it, and it was because the writer of it was Eton Cohen, not Ethan Cohen. And
You
so
just didn't read the fine print.
I hate it when that happens.
That's Dakota Johnson signing on for an MCU movie.
There's some guy named Tom Pool who gets lots of people to work for him because they're like, damn
We
it.
were joking about like Tomcast. Today we're talking about shapes.
So here we go. This is Garfield. Okay, so this was a guy beat the crap out of another guy at a Garfield premiere because he was like,
I think the guy was like beating on his wife.
he was and his kid.
And this guy happened to be a professional boxer who stepped in.
So it says, turns out the guy in the green pants is actually, it's Antonio Barul, a 6-time amateur Spanish boxing champion who went pro last year. The worst type of random person to throw hands with. So let's watch this clip.
We don't watch fight videos much on the show.
I know, it's a lost market.
Does anyone yell World Star?
¿Sabes qué, Junior? Esto te va a venir bien.
Is he in a Garfield shirt?
Vamos a robar un camión lleno de leche para pagar a una...
I love the dub playing in the background.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's squaring up.
Pero cójanos, ¿dónde están los de seguridad? Bien hecho, bien hecho, bien hecho. Rompas y puta. Bien hecho. Bien hecho, bien hecho. Dele más.
I can't tell if Hoodie Guy is trying to break it up or if he's the referee.
Bien hecho. Canal, la dio todo.
I'm reliably told that if you watch dub you're a bad person. You're supposed to watch sub, right? You're not supposed to watch dub. So these people are bad people.
No, it's only for English
It's only
speakers. I'm
for-
sorry.
yeah.
That doesn't go the other way around.
I do not care about the dub versus sub argument.
I'll never. I watch dub and sub. I put subtitles on everything.
Because you're a spiritual Zoomer.
Exactly.
Oh my
that's
gosh,
exactly
that's like
I was worried we went to an open caption last night on accident.
that's like my roommate. He's like, can you put subtitles on this? I can't understand what they're saying. I'm like, dude, like what
Sometimes
happened to
they're
your
really
ears?
quiet,
What
though.
happened to your ears?
Sometimes they whisper through the whole thing.
When we were at for instance, like when I was in the hotel and I was watching Fast and the Furious in the hotel room, it's on like just a TV with just bad speakers, right? So the action scenes are really loud, and then you have to turn it down and then back up when they're talking and stuff like that. So I'd rather just leave it lower and have the
You have to turn on subtitles if you're watching a movie on a plane,
yeah.
right?
I
That's an
don't.
exception. Okay.
I have perfect hearing.
Good for you. Congrats.
So, anyways, about this fight, I wanted just to make a little statement about this little fight here. Actually, if something like this doesn't happen at a movie theater, I try to get a refund.
He's like,
what
look,
was
nobody beat the crap out of anybody at the theater. I want my money back.
What was the last movie that seemed to have so many fights break out? I feel like it happened multiple times.
There was
Why
one.
do I want to say it's those Minions?
No,
No.
It was another kids film, and it was a kids film that came out at the same time as Joker, because all the media was saying that like, oh, the incels are going to go watch Joker. Yes, we did go watch Joker, okay, but us incels are nice people.
What was the? Can somebody tell me what movie that was? You're right. It like came
It
out
was
at the
another
same time
kids.
as Joker.
It was another kids film, and there was some
Frozen.
Frozen 2.
Was it Frozen 2?
Frozen
Yes.
2. Fights broke out at the Frozen
Thank you,
2
Unknown.
showings.
That's absolutely 100%. So he says Little Mermaid. You were with us at Little Mermaid.
Oh, it was Little Mermaid. I noticed there were tons of fight videos coming out of Little Mermaid showings. That's what I was thinking
I hate
of.
it when that happens.
Well, I was really unhappy that people were videoing us when we were watching Little Mermaid. And then I got up and I was like, Mary,
Time to throw hands.
can't
No
believe
one
you
hold
brought
me
me
back.
to this.
Hold my earrings.
So that guy look, that's what the guy gets for putting hands on someone in public. So he's going to come and stand up. All right. No description.
I saw this and I really hoped that it was real, but it's just the Quartering had a fan send him a custom-made Dylan Mulvaney Barbie doll.
I like the Transformers logo.
Well, he took a Ken doll, right, and just painted makeup onto it.
I guess.
But like the amount of detail in here is astounding. Like the Transformers logo, And then they've got the Nike logo there and like the man packs. If you zoom in, they've got a packet of man packs.
Has Jeremy has he considered submitting this to the Museum of Modern Art?
He should do that.
Yeah. They wouldn't accept it though.
$20 super chat from Heavy Burn Man. Dub superiority. TV time is for zoning out. Book time is for imagination.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
We got a zoomer in the
Hot
chat.
take right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is a hot take right there. That's a lot of work that went into that.
Yeah. I was hoping it was like a mass produced. Barbie could really make a lot of money off of that.
Speaking of what you were saying about like film and stuff, you know what I'd like to see make a comeback?
What?
The use of miniatures.
Yeah, you know, some directors. I've seen some movies recently that use miniatures. There's this indie film called The Sweet East, which I didn't really care for, but I did like that it had miniatures in it. Wes Anderson still uses miniatures in all of his films.
I remember watching the bonus features for GoldenEye when they were talking about it. It was one of the last Bond movies that employed miniatures because they started going to CGI shortly after that when they were building out the Severnaya facility, and there's like fake snow and then you pan back and you've got the camera and it's only this big. It was really good.
Well, I mean, a lot of those miniatures are actually huge. Like if you saw it, like
super intricate.
If you saw the miniatures for like the Grand Budapest Hotel, they like some of the miniatures filled up like whole rooms. It's just like it's obviously not to size for like a human, but the stuff that they were doing on there, I mean, the artistry was insane. Yeah, you know.
But I always feel like, and you're much more in tune with like the actual industry side of things, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like when those things go away, right? It becomes a lost art, and they're kind of saying the same thing happened with Disney when 2D animation went away. Like they lost John Lasseter, and they lose these guys who were proficient in these mediums. So then they don't have the ability. It's kind of like it's just gone, and it's like a skill that was never passed on.
Well, that goes without saying. I mean, I know that there's cinematographers out there now who are kind of afraid to shoot on film. I'm not, just because like I started off as a film loader, so I'd load film into cameras and everything, and it's just like I don't. To me, it's not necessarily that hard. It's like you just have to know how to use a light meter and know how to like load the cameras and everything. But yeah, I mean, if something isn't done, it becomes a lost art. And I think that with miniatures, I think the things that studio executives don't like about miniatures is that you can't change the miniature in post-production. Right.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, there was that show, that Disney Plus show, Secret Wars. There was a Marvel thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember seeing this behind the scenes photo of it, where it's just Sam Jackson sitting in an office building, right? Just a regular office room. And you think, oh, they probably shot that in an office room. No, they shot it in a green screen room.
It's why, I mean, I go on about this all the time. Like there was a movie that came out last year called The Creator, which was a Gareth Edwards movie, which cost $80 million to make and looked 100 times better than anything that Marvel does, because they went out on location and shot actual environments to then do their matte painting and all the post-production afterwards. Yeah,
and I love the use of matte paintings in films too. And actually, when you're on like a big set and they have a really good matte painting, it feels real. It's really crazy. No, I think that executives now, especially like Disney executives, they want to be able to change anything and everything in post-production. Oh, this house plant in this scene isn't playing well with audiences, so we need to change it to a different
Can we
house
turn it
plant.
into an Easter egg somehow?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why budgets are ballooning so much, is because they're constantly making VFX changes. I mean, we saw this with the Spider-Verse movies, where we're having them like animate entire sequences and then scrap it because they're like, oh no, we don't like that anymore. We're doing a completely different thing, and the amount of planning just isn't there, and they want to be able to change everything in post.
Victoria Alonso basically got fired from Marvel because she was in charge of all of their post production and turned into a mess in the last several years.
Yeah, and and that got a lot of the VFX people. I have many like VFX artists who subscribe to me. I talk to them a lot, and Marvel is kind of like, a lot of VFX people don't like Marvel too, because they'll say like, hey, we need this done in like 2-3 weeks,
and we want 6 versions of it.
Yeah, exactly. And you notice that in like the one Avengers movie, was that Endgame or was that Infinity War? I don't really know. Where all the trailers have him as Hulk, and then in the final film he's in the Hulk Buster outfit. And
that was Infinity War.
Infinity War, yeah, and you can tell that was a rushed job.
Well, okay, so I remember them saying like that was on purpose. Like they wanted to do it to mislead. Like there was a lot of stuff that was changed from the trailer to mislead audiences. Like
I know
when he has the gauntlet, like the amount of stones that are in his hand in the hand is different from the trailer than it was in the movie.
But when I went to see Infinity War in the theaters, and that was, and I honestly don't know why. I really don't like Marvel movies, but like, I think my dad wanted to see it, and so I went with him. Yeah, but the Hulk Buster.
Bro, you don't need an excuse for guilty pleasures. It's okay.
I feel guilty, but there was no pleasure.
Yeah.
but he was comped in. Mark Ruffalo was comped in so poorly into the Hulkbuster outfit that it made me
look like it was floating.
He looked like he was floating in the air, which made me think that maybe they were lying about saying that they were trying to mislead audiences, because that felt like a really rushed job. And then I talked to some other VFX people, and they said, yeah, that looks like a super rushed job. Yeah.
It's a bummer too, because I really do think that the discernment it takes to go out and film on location makes all the difference when making movies like this, and at least to keeping like a layperson. Like I'm not gonna know in every environment whether it's CGI or not. I'm not an expert, but you can tell most of the time when it's all fake. When the entire room is fake, it's very, very noticeable, and it disconnects you from the story in a way that even if it does a disservice to the storytelling, because your brain is kind of fighting to buy into what you're watching, right? So you shouldn't have to do that. And I'm one of the easiest people to please in that respect, meaning that I want to buy in. Most of the time, people like, I'm not one of the people who picks apart stories and finds all of the logical inconsistencies or the plot holes. I'm like, bro, I want to buy into what you're selling me. Yeah. But one of the easiest ways to pull someone off is by making the visuals hard to follow.
Yeah. You know, as far as like plot holes and stuff go, like I know that there's a lot of YouTubers who love to just go through movies and be like, oh, why is this thing happening? Why is this thing happening? And blah, blah, blah. Honestly, if I don't notice the plot hole in my first watch, and if it's, or,
then I don't care.
Then I don't really care. No. You know, if it is noticeable on a first watch, which the first watch is when you're like, you're not going to know all the context. You're not going to be looking at the details.
Which means it had to have been really, really noticeable.
Yeah, it meant that it had to be really noticeable. It meant that they had to know about that plot hole when writing the screenplay, and they went forward with it.
There was a part in Planet of the Apes at the very end, I guess kind of spoiler alert, where she's got a gun behind her back, and then she suddenly has both her hands out. I'm like,
I noticed that too, but I was like, she must have just put it in the holster, whatever.
I guess.
Well, I mean, she
definitely grabbed a holster. You just didn't see it.
I think that would have rotted too after thousands of years in that climate.
No, so I looked it up last night. So Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is 300 years after War of the Planet of the Apes.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on then. We want to talk about Lord of the Rings, because yesterday we did get into Lord of the Rings is producing a new Gollum film from Warner Brothers, of course. And now what happened was there has been a Hunt for Gollum fan film that has been online for 15 years that was pulled off the internet after it was manually copyright claimed by Warner Brothers. It has since been returned. They have brought it back.
It had over 13 million views before being taken down because it's been up for so long.
Yep.
But it was only like 35 minutes long.
30, I mean, that's pretty good for a fan. It's like 40 minutes is good for a fan.
35 minutes long is a lot of work.
It's 40 minutes.
A lot of people saying, well, it's technically in the book, so it makes sense for them to make the movie. And I'm just saying, like, if you really have trust in Tolkien's decision not to explicitly tell the details of that story, then you don't have a justification for doing so, right? It doesn't make sense to me still.
My favorite example is still, like, imagine, like nowadays, what you'd get for a television show is a prequel series about how Al Bundy got his job at a shoe shop. It doesn't need to be done. It's not. I don't even need a show about Al Bundy scoring 4 touchdowns in a single game in his high school football playing days. It's not necessary to the story.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. Well, also, not all parts of a story need to be told.
That's yeah. I mean, whether a movie needs to be made or not is not even in consideration. It's just whether we can make money off of it.
I might have been excited for Lord of the Rings return if the Hobbit trilogy didn't happen and Rings of Power didn't happen.
So I kind of made the point that I think maybe in the next couple of weeks I might rewatch the original trilogy and then rewatch, because I'm not. I said before, I'm not a Lord of the Rings fanboy. I've seen all of them once, including the Hobbit films. Perhaps I liked the Lord of the Rings movies. The Hobbit movies, not so much, and that maybe going back and rewatching them now.
Did you ever watch the Hobbit movies in 48 frames per second?
No.
It was terrible.
Okay.
The Hobbit being turned into a trilogy at all doesn't make sense to me.
It is really funny. Somebody posted a picture from the books of like the paragraph that this is based on. He goes, "This is going to be turned into a 3-hour movie." It's like this long.
It's a money grab.
If it was up to you, who would you get to direct this? Because when I said I like Andy Serkis as an actor, as a director,
As a director, yeah. I mean, I would okay. I will say this: he made that Mowgli.
Yeah, he's the Jungle Book movie.
Jungle Book
movie.
movie.
The only ones I've seen from him was that and Venom 2. Let There Be Carnage. There Be Carnage.
You know what? I had a fun time with Venom. Let There Be Carnage. I had a fun time with it.
Naomi Harris was so miscast that I couldn't get over it.
Although I think I like the first Venom better. Yeah, the first Venom was definitely better. Yeah, I just don't think that he's the right pick for director. But if I'm gonna
who would you get?
Gosh, I mean that's tough. Who would be who's a good modern director that can do something like this? I don't know, maybe Robert Eggers. Because I thought The Northman was great, and I think that he has the right sort of vision for something like this.
At first, I thought Kenneth Branagh, and then thought I think it'd be too boring.
Yeah, although you know what, I did like Kenneth Branagh's the Death in Venice movie, or Haunting in Venice.
Okay, so
Death in Venice is the gay movie. Haunting in Venice.
So I liked Murder on the Orient Express.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Death on the Nile was meh. I fell asleep in Haunting in Venice.
As did I.
Yeah.
It was boring.
I fell asleep. I thought it was directed well, but I was so tired when we went to see it. I thought maybe if I went back, but...
I also don't like Michelle Yeoh, but that's just me.
There you go. So you think Robert Eggers?
Yeah, I mean, but he's doing his own thing. He's coming out with that Nosferatu movie, which I'm super excited for.
I forgot about that.
Or how about this? Get Peter Jackson to do it rather than just have him produce.
Him.
But
right?
We
know that they asked him, and he
Peter Jackson already ruined it by making the Hobbit movies. Yeah. All right, that's all. I think that I don't think Peter Jackson is the right guy for this. The Hobbit movies, they didn't do it. They weren't that good.
Zemta in the chat says Zack Snyder should do it. Bro, a 3-hour movie from Zack Snyder would be 6.5 hours after all the slow-mo. Imagine the scene where the ring is falling, and instead of 120...
It's 15 minutes long.
Instead of 120 frames a second, it's 300 frames per second, and it just takes 20 minutes to... Yeah, it would be amazing.
Whoever... Actually, you know what? Forget that. Whoever directed Madam Web should direct...
Oh yeah, who was that again? Let me look it up.
Madam Web is the movie of the year.
And get Dakota Johnson to play Aragorn.
Yeah, Madam Web is honestly the movie of the year. It was so bad.
It was so awesome. It was so bad. It was awesome.
It was so bad. It was awesome.
I think. Yeah. But it was comically bad.
Or Werner Herzog. Yeah, Werner Herzog for Gollum.
Did they steal the title from the fan-made film? The Hunt for Gollum. I know it's not very creative for a title, but they kind of did steal the title.
So I want to go through a little bit of what this article said. It said the fan film likely contains the same story concept that's fueling the new project, which is being developed by producer Peter Jackson and his writing partners Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, who are not names I recognize. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
Who will be involved every step of the way. Andy Serkis is on board. And Andy Serkis was a second unit director or something, or he worked on the films, right? On the original trilogy or in the Hobbit movies?
I don't know. I know I
feel like I read that earlier today, but I could be misremembering that.
My buddy's dad was the second unit director on the Fellowship, but that doesn't sound like my buddy's dad. 13 million views for a 40-minute film is a good length, and I think you're right. I think
to what we said earlier, which is that the fan backlash would have been very severe.
Yeah.
And the best thing they could do is if this thing's really, really well liked, is bring this guy on to consult and help you. It's kind of like when I talk about like how like superhero costumes are so bad these days. They need to just start hiring these cosplay chicks to come in and help them make their costumes.
I mean,
The costuming on Rings of Power was terrible.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
it's 'cause it all
have
looks too
another.
clean.
I have another idea. They should just stop making superhero movies.
I can't abide. I still enjoy going and watching them be aggressively mediocre. I have no problem with that.
I have yet to see one that I like.
The one of the problems I have with the costumes is
I want
that
to
they're
say that
always
when I like a superhero movie, when I say that I like it, I don't mean that I actually like it. I mean that I think it's better than the other ones, which I don't like.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Fair enough. Like the Rings of Power, it was because the costumes all looked like they were freshly laundered.
Even the armor,
Yeah.
it was
Shiny armor.
pristine.
Like you've been traveling the land, yet your costume looks like it just came out of wardrobe.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem. Like seriously, wasn't it be somebody's job to be like, hey, could you go like push this around in the dirt for a few minutes? Right?
Most of the problem was Galadriel. Most people's problem with Rings of Power was Galadriel.
Yeah.
Or I think you called her like girl boss Ladriel.
Well, they were calling her Guy Ladriel.
Guy Ladriel.
Guy Ladriel. Look, get James Cameron off of Avatar and make him make it.
Yeah, or
James
you know
Cameron
what?
still knows how to tell a story.
Also, you know what? Here's another director I'm going to throw in the hat for Lord of the Rings. I got to throw in my good friend Uwe Boll.
I see them in the chat.
Look, I was just at Uwe's house in Germany. We had a really fun time. He's a good guy, and I'm going to throw his name in the hat.
Warner Bros. If you're watching.
Warner Bros. If you're watching, hit up my friend Uwe, Warner Brothers executive. I have his phone number. I'll give it to you. You can call him up. You can you can get him on that movie.
I guess most people just have a problem with the stuff being like very, very little source material for films that are always really, really long in length. Like maybe one of the things, like how long were the Hobbit films? They were on the longer side too, right?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours,
Yeah.
right? Like what you should do is like, look, it makes sense for the trilogy to be exceedingly long. It does. It's an epic. But if you're adapting a shorter story, tell a shorter story. And maybe you endear yourself to the public in a way that has yet to been done, at least from what I remember from these films. Because
Hunt for Gollum miniseries.
Fans of the trilogy don't want to watch the short version. They want to watch the 3.5 hour version, and they
Okay,
want to go
but
to the theaters to watch it. But this doesn't need to be that.
This IP has been exhausted.
Yes.
It's over.
Well, also,
They can't accept that it's over.
Also, the last time they tried to do a Gollum-themed Lord of the Rings thing was that Gollum game.
Yeah, everyone hated it.
And that
People were
Gollum
dunking
game
on
was,
that too. They said, "Is this movie going to be based off the
Yeah.
award-winning game?"
that was my tweet. That was my tweet. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. That's perfect. And then they merge together, and Amazon buys Warner Brothers, and it becomes Rings of Gollum. It'd be awesome.
They're
That's
just
right.
going to do a Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings crossover.
I
movie.
think there's something to be said here that like when Rings of Power was announced, every YouTuber was like about to cash in big, gonna be awesome because I'm gonna make content on this.
Oh, we did.
I didn't see the same tone for this. I saw mostly like Rings of Power or Lord of the Rings is dead as far as making new movies.
Yeah.
Just move on, but not the same glee that people had about like Rings of Power is going to be awful, and I'm going to make a bunch of money making YouTube videos on it.
I guarantee you the audience has no idea that this is being produced by Warner Brothers, not Amazon. They have a concept of the difference, and they don't care.
Yeah, the average person doesn't understand that the rights for
Like,
the
oh, it's Lord of the
television-
Rings.
Yeah.
They just think it's the same people.
Well, my take on this is just like when there's something as good as Lord of the Rings, by making new things, it's like the studios are trying to sell this idea to people that are like, remember how good things were, like, and how happy you were when you went and saw the original Lord of the Rings.
You can feel that again.
You can feel that again, and I'm thinking like, I own the extended editions. I can I rewatch the Lord of the Rings a lot. They're some of my favorite movies. I can rewatch those movies. Those movies have not ceased to exist at all. But what they give you is this like watered down bad version of it, and you go there kind of hoping to have that spark that you had, like this great feeling you had when you watched Fellowship of the Rings in the theater. I remember watching Fellowship of the Rings in the theater. I mean, I know I'm a little old, but like I remember doing that, and it was amazing, but I just know that it's not going to give me that same reaction. It's going to be like, if I get duped into it, I'm going to feel like I should get this reaction. And then you go there and you get something that's like bland or bad or just not super great.
Is that going to be your experience of Joker Folie à Deux?
Yeah.
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 I would
You're not
make
going to
that-
feel the way you felt before COVID. That's
I
for
would
sure.
make that argument, but I would be contradicting myself after what I said for Twisters. But I guess I didn't also have like a mega connection to the original Twister. I guess for me, it was like when Independence Day 2 came out, and I'm like, this will never recapture the magic of the original. It's not possible. And of course, it didn't, and it wasn't.
You know what? Part of what made the first Independence Day, capture the hearts and minds of the people is that it was an original film that did really well. People liked.
Yep.
When you're like, oh, it's a sequel, many years later, it's like, it might not. The only movie that I think pulled that off was Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because they fundamentally, it's a very different story than the original. It understood that the character aged and it can't continue to tell the same story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was also less machismo, more sweetness,
Well, it's more about like
more
fatherhood.
sentimental.
It's more about like fatherhood than being like a young like guy
Yes.
who's like, I'm super cool.
I loved it. Yeah, to your point about like the nostalgia aspect of it, I said, you know what the best example would be for kids today? If you're my age and you own the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 movie on VHS, and it came with the Pizza Hut ad with the song and the kid playing in the outfield, it would be like trying to remake that now and recapturing the same magic you felt when you watched that as a kid. It's not possible.
Thank you. I still thought Mutant Mayhem was great, even though you didn't.
Well, this is, that's just because I'm judging it as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and it was still fine. But yeah.
Am I supposed to dance?
Yes, you're
Lean
supposed
with
to
it,
dance.
rock with it.
All right, let's move on then, shall we? So, what would you? Oh, we don't have Cringe. We don't have.
Oh,
Cringe. Yeah,
actually,
you were
I meant
supposed
to send it to
You were
you.
supposed to send me Cringe. I'm
Give me
left
like
hanging
2 seconds.
here. All right, we're gonna have to find Cringe of the day.
Well, we have cute though.
I have cute of the. We'll do cute of the day first, then while we wait for that to come through here. First things first, ladies and gentlemen. This one's from Bookstore Thor. If you want to direct your attention over here, this is Willie, and he's very old. I thought we were going to lose him this week, but he's not done yet. Willie is
Stay
adorable.
strong, Willie.
Stay strong.
Oh, sweetie.
He's very sweet.
I just sent you the Cringe.
Okay, we'll do one more here. Guys, I'm running low on cue of the day. So again, if I missed some of yours, sometimes that happens, especially when I get busy. Tag at Brett Dasovic on Twitter and hashtag PCCPets, and I will do my best to get them in here. So let's move on here. What do we got
Maybe
next?
we just ran out of pets.
I hope not.
I know there are more people out there with pets.
This is from Dan
don't think
Demonium.
so.
Wait, we definitely already saw this
Did we
one.
see this one?
Yeah, I remember.
Then we're running low on pets here, guys.
I guess we don't have any
more.
pets left. Wait, we didn't see this one.
Okay. This is meet the newest member of my family, Ahsoka, cartoon Ahsoka, not the disaster Disney made. She is a Winter Mountain Timber Dog.
Cute.
That is adorable.
So tiny.
Oh.
That's a sweet
All right.
dog.
You set the Cringe?
Yeah.
So go ahead and send those cue of the days in. Oh my gosh, what the hell did I just look
Oh, I saw that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
at? Here we go.
No spoilers then.
Rewind.
Hi, not being in a first date right now. It's so cringe. By the way, in your hand it says that you're 5'11", but I'm 5'8", and you're shorter than me, so maybe try 5'7". What are you getting to drink? Water? Okay, in your hydration era, serving hydration core. I'm getting an Aperol Spritz, something with a little fizz. Bro has no riz. Oh, you think I'm pretty? What kind of pretty? I feel like I serve early 2000s pretty. Bunny pretty, deer pretty, rat pretty, frog pretty, girl pretty, boy pretty. What kind of pretty do you think I am? I know I'm not quite 30 million likes pretty, not blue dress girl pretty, retro girl pretty, but still pretty, right? Thank you so much. Just giving compliment core. And what do you do for work? You work at a pizza place? You must be that guy from that girl's video that went viral where she talked about meeting a guy in a pizza place, but she would never date. But I would date because you're in your influencer era, like not you being famous. Famous core. And what are you getting to eat? Big back activities. I have an almond mom, so I'm probably gonna eat a salad because I want to be serving skinny Bella Hadid energy. Yeah, I want to be snatched with legging legs. Oh, you're getting steak? Meat mentioned. Bros meat maxing. What are you looking for in a relationship? I'm looking for a man in finance. 6'5", blue eyes, trust fund. Have you heard that sound? It's all viral all over TikTok. I love it. I really want like someone to remix one of my videos. Yeah, that'd be so funny. Where are you going? You need to go to the bathroom? Go piss, girl. I don't think he's coming back, but that's okay because he gave me the egg. Me when I get ghosted, not me getting ghosted. Bye.
That was a lot. Brett, are you okay? He's not okay, ladies and gentlemen.
The fuck did you just make me watch? I apologize for my language, but whatever I just...
Maybe this is what dating is like.
Did you see my reply to that?
No.
My tweet, I replied to that tweet. I said that she's my sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah.
I just wake up in the middle of the night. I can't move. And I have this like yapping woman above me. And that's the scariest thing of all time.
Not you sleep paralysis maxing.
Yeah. You're in your sleep era?
What the fuck was that?
You'll recover. You'll be okay.
Bruh.
This is what it is. It encapsulates every single Taylor Swift fan in existence into one person.
It's weird because these Swifties on dating apps, they really want to date a guy who likes and knows about Taylor Swift.
Until they realize that he likes and knows about Taylor Swift.
Right? Like, that would be a red flag, in my opinion.
That was awful. That might be the worst. Out of every cringe you've shown me, that might be the worst.
That's crazy because the Starbucks one the other week was the worst, in my opinion. Where he's like finger blasting the Starbucks cup.
No. Okay. All
We're
right.
gonna be okay.
I mean, it could have been worse. I've seen stuff on 4chan that was worse than that.
We broke him. We broke him.
Getting the hell out of here. We're moving on. Let's just start with let's talk about Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, so Sydney Sweeney
Palate cleanser.
Palette cleanser. Sydney Sweeney is about to star in a biopic about a legendary female boxer, and she's talking about how she's going to start training soon. And this comes with a whole avalanche of announcements that happened while we were out of town and not paying as much attention to all of this industry news. Brett, you said it was because they've had like these investors calls, so they're gonna just start like pumping out all of this information from the studios.
A lot of this is tied to talking to investors and quarterly earnings and stuff like that. They have to start announcing their projects, kind of like when upfronts come out.
So we're kind of just gonna go through a bunch of those, but first one is Sydney Sweeney. She gets pride of place. She's starring as a boxer named Christy Martin. I had never heard of her.
No, I had not either.
They're just making a biopic about literally anyone these days.
I haven't heard of Sydney Sweeney either.
That's
But
not
she
true.
actually-
That's
she does
not
look
true
alike.
because we talked about Sydney Sweeney last night. You are lying, my friend.
Liar.
He is lying. He knows exactly who Sydney Sweeney
People
is.
go on the internet and tell lies. That's the first I heard about it.
He's not being honest, ladies and gentlemen.
But she does bear a resemblance. I see it.
Yeah, she does. I mean, so much as like this lady is getting punched in the face here, and then.
Well, yeah. If you see her without the blood on her face,
correct.
They do look alike.
Yes.
I just have never heard of her.
I'm
kind of sick of the biopics.
I'm gonna tell you the reason why I got excited about this, because the first thing she talks about is how she's gonna start prepping for the role. None of this like I can just play the movie how I look, otherwise it's misogyny. Bullshit. I had a tweet.
We saw a 90-pound woman.
I had a tweet the other day.
Choke a grown man to death last night.
I know.
It's totally believable. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I had a tweet the other day when I was talking about like they did the before and the after of David Cornsweet getting in shape to play Superman. And I said, look, I don't care if these dudes are juiced to their eyeballs. Like if you're a grown adult and you can consent to taking whatever substances you want, legal or not, it's none of my business. If I like it when an actor takes the decision to look like the character they're playing seriously. And when you're playing superheroes, for instance, you may not be able to be a superhero, but you can get close to superhero physique. You just need a little pharmaceutical help. I'm not advocating anyone do that.
Are you saying Sydney Sweeney is going to get on steroids?
I'm not saying that, but I'm
hell
saying
yeah.
that the idea that she's taking the role seriously is important, and that she's saying, like, I'm not just going to jump in and expect them to believe that a noodle-armed person can be a pro boxer. Mm-hmm. That's important. That she talks a lot about how she was really invested in the marketing for her last movie, and she takes the business side of the industry very, very seriously. And after doing all of these things, where I saw this article the other day where like all of the women on Pretty Little Liars made less than the men who were not important characters. I'm like, finally, some women that are taking the business side of it seriously.
I would be more excited if I thought Sydney Sweeney was a better actress.
I almost like it better that she's not. It's more endearing to me.
A lot of
She'll
people
get
think
better
she's
with
a
time.
great actress.
She will
Like
get
with
better
people
with time.
talking about
mean,
Immaculate or Reality,
I need to watch.
neither of which I've seen.
I need to watch Immaculate, but I watched Anyone But You on the flight up here, and she didn't really.
It wasn't giving.
wasn't good.
Daniel G says based in Ozempic pills.
You can kill me right now for just repeating what you said.
Sydney Sweeney is definitely not on Ozempic, and I hope she never will be. But it's different. It's a rom-com, but people seem to believe in her as an actress.
Yeah, and she's likable, and she takes the business side seriously. She doesn't treat it like her own ideological bubble. She understands that she's in the industry to make money, make a name for herself, and produce a product. And
well, she understands that she is the product.
I understand. I don't think that when people look at her, they're like, she's art. She's really into the art.
She really knows what she's doing. That's something about Sydney Sweeney is she has really good marketing instincts.
Yes.
Yeah, she
that's
knows
important.
what she's doing. Yeah.
That's really, really important. And I think that's what, when Tom Cruise, for instance, when we went to see Fall Guy and Ryan Gosling and the director do their thing where they pretend to care about the audience. They're like, we're so happy you showed up to the movie theater. We wouldn't be able to do this without you.
They would never say movie theater. They're going to say cinema.
The cinema. Look, when Tom Cruise said it, he's a good enough actor that you believe it. You believe that he actually gives a crap about you. Whether he does
we
or
have
not
a
is
$20
irrelevant.
from Philip Reed. He said, I'm here to start an argument. 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler is a great movie, and no one can convince me otherwise.
50 First Dates is a great movie. I've seen it probably 30 times.
There you go.
Actually,
argument.
Actually, every time that I go on the plane, maybe not every time, if the plane is kind of short and I want to watch a new film, but if it's a long flight, like I was just flying back from Germany, I watched 50 First Dates. It's a comfort movie of mine. All right, I know that it might not be the highest brow. I know that it might be like a middle of the road Adam Sandler movie, but there's something about it that is just very comforting to me.
It's your safe space.
It's my safe space. Okay.
I have no problem with Adam Sandler as an actor in general. I don't. I like Adam Sandler, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with liking, as you say, middle brow.
Well, Uncut Gems was a one-off, it seems.
I mean, that's not even what I'm talking about.
No, it wasn't a one-off because he had Punch Drunk Love, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, which was also a fantastic movie. And he was in the Meyerowitz Stories, the Noah Baumbach movie. He was great in that. He's been really good in a number of films. Yeah.
And look, he made Hustle with Netflix in 2022, which was I'm a sucker for sports movies, and it's a great basketball movie that I really, really enjoyed. If you like films like Hoosiers and stuff it's not on the level of Hoosiers, but it's a good 2022 sports film, and you don't get a lot of those these days. But Sydney Sweeney in general, I think she's moving the industry in the right direction, at least as far as the big budget people are concerned. I don't want to pretend like I don't care about your art house nature when you're making movies that are of a certain budget. That's just me personally. And most fans don't either. The people who are really into deep cinema, that's different. But the audience wants you to be personable and wants you to know what you're doing.
Well, I mean, you can do both. You can have very personable people that help,
Well, I'd say Tom Cruise is a fair example, at least of somebody who loves the process of making films, but he's also doing it on do you have a favorite Tom Cruise movie?
That's a tough question.
Interview with a Vampire.
There you go.
Yeah, that's his gayest movie.
He was gay.
You just assume that I'm gay. I'm not. I'm a very heterosexual
You still need to
man.
watch that, Brett.
You
like Tom Cruise as a villain.
I mean, I really like, of course, Risky Business. I really like. I love the Mission Impossible movies.
Again, another franchise that I can put on at any time.
I was stalking your Letterboxd, and I saw you gave a 5-star, I think, or maybe 4.5 stars to Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, I loved it.
That's crazy.
I loved it too. I did think
4.5 out of 5.
I thought the last action scene dragged a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought the train scene dragged a little bit.
But
it was too long.
Man, but Mission Impossible movies, those are some of my favorite action movies of all time.
Collateral is still my favorite movie of his.
That was Michael Mann?
Yeah.
Michael Mann's great too.
Another director. Okay, I got into a bunch of arguments with people recently because they're talking about the casting for Heat 2, the prequel, which the fact that they're not calling it Preheat is absolutely that wasn't mine. Somebody else said that
because you know that it's an adaptation of Michael Mann's book Heat 2. Yeah.
I still don't care. I don't think it needs to be made. They're like, but Adam Driver. I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't need to be made. Again, you're going to try and capture nostalgia. You will never capture the grit of 1990s LA Again, and this will be a prequel, so this would be like what the late 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're never gonna recapture that atmosphere.
Wait, wasn't it in Heat where Al Pacino's like that big round ass?
Yeah, she's got a great ass. Just coked out of his mind at that time. Well, and then later they go like, they were subtly hinting that the character had a coke habit, like because Al Pacino probably had a coke habit at the time. But okay.
They just had to they're like, yeah, we got to factor this into the film somehow, or people are gonna think something's
so
off.
many actors in that movie that like Dennis Haysbert, who's a great actor, was like just a kind of a bit player. Danny Trejo's in that movie. There's so many actors that you forget. Tom Sizemore is in that movie. So many that you forget that are really, really good performers.
Yeah. Maybe not super great people, but good performers.
But good performers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Tom Sizemore. Yeah.
So there's other movies coming out. Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney kind of are taking over Hollywood.
Yeah, they're the rising
way.
stars, it seems. He's in a new legal drama called Monsanto with Anthony Mackie and Laura Dern.
Laura Dern's first thing since like Jurassic Park.
Follows an untried attorney who takes a seemingly insurmountable case against a U.S. chemical company, Monsanto.
It reminds me, what was that movie that came out a couple of years ago with Mark Ruffalo about like the water? Do you remember
called
that?
Dark Water.
Dark Water, and that was the same thing. Big corporations are evil. It's actually
Can they do it against Big Pharma though?
It's actually true, but it's just annoying because Hollywood's actually in the pocket of all these people.
I forgot Tom Cruise was in Color of Money. That's great. It's Scorsese. Yep. Yeah, but anyways, going back to it.
Yeah.
Dark Water, that was Todd Haynes directed that. And that was like the only Todd Haynes movie that I haven't seen because I just wasn't interested in it.
Yeah. And whenever you watch these films, it's annoying because you know that they're all virtue signaling and that they all, it would be, you're right, Mary. It's like, could you guys do this about Big Pharma, please?
Yeah, they never will, though.
Like, I want to, like, is there going to be a movie called AstraZeneca?
Have Travis Kelce star in it. How about
Yes.
that? Wait, what is Travis Kelce doing again?
He's doing.
There's a new announcement about him, too.
Grotesque. It was like, it was some lame
grotesquerie or some shit that he
Grotesquerie.
could never pronounce.
Yeah.
That was the joke. Like, why are you having Travis Kelce star in something
really
he couldn't
funny
even pronounce?
If like, okay, when Kurt Angle came to pro wrestling, he was a natural and he was like instantly main event material because he came from the world of like amateur wrestling. If like Travis Kelce goes to acting, he's just instantly Oscar material and nobody knows why. Just this big dumb football player who
Pisses
just turns
everyone
it
off.
on when the camera's on.
Oh, and the Pooh Crave or Disbussing Film or one of these parody accounts said that he's doing a lot of gay stuff in the movie and Taylor's pissed.
So does a movie like this interest you? These ones that are always, it's social commentary related?
I mean, I'll go see any of this bullshit. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it, like the people on the right should love this. It's gonna be talking about seed oils.
Yeah.
This will be that Alex Clark should see this movie.
We need a movie against seed oils,
Yeah.
anti-seed oil propaganda from Hollywood. Yeah. There's also a new Dora the Explorer live action movie. They found a new live action star.
Are any of these political movies going to be as hard hitting as Eyes Wide Shut though?
No.
They're not going to be on the same level. Tom Cruise again. That might be his best performance. Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah.
Who are they gonna get to play Swiper?
Do you care about a Dora movie? Okay, so when we were coming back from California, Mary said, "In the wild, I heard somebody say they were excited about Moana 2."
It was crazy. I was listening in on people's conversations because I know that normies really don't pay attention to this stuff. And yeah, this woman was like, "I'm so excited for Moana 2," and I was like, "Okay, I stand corrected. I didn't think anyone cared." And then another person said, Sydney Sweeney produced that movie About Anyone But You. And they were like, who's Sydney Sweeney? And they're like, the girl in it. And they're like, oh, yeah.
But that's not what anybody would know her from. They would know her from Euphoria.
No.
They knew her from anything.
They didn't say that.
I never watched Euphoria. I feel like I'm too old.
Yeah.
The only other one I heard in the wild was like, oh, I didn't know they were still making Marvel movies after
that
Endgame.
Is really funny. That is really funny. Like, poor Kevin Feige's out here like, bruh.
But it's only because they brought up Spider-Man movies.
Yep.
So they still are under the impression it's the same thing.
So I have no interest in a Dora movie, but I don't think I'm exactly the target demographic for such a film.
No, I don't. I'm not either.
Well, they made a Dora movie.
Yeah, but they just chose a younger actress to continue on.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I mean, when you have like films that, it's a young person who's the star, and then you're like, and these movies can take 3-4 years to make. You know, by the time that the movie gets out, like that person's gonna be too old to be in the sequel. So
cast Timothy Chalamet as Boots and put him in the Astro Boy boots, and I would buy it instantly.
And now we've also got Jeremy Strong is in talks to star as Bruce Springsteen's manager, John Landau, in Nebraska, in which Jeremy Allen White is set to star as Springsteen. And Timothy Chalamet is currently portraying Bob Dylan.
Yeah, we got confused about that.
I actually think they need to pick somebody like less animated and more boring to play Bob Dylan personally.
Wait, let me check if I was right about that.
I was behind the thing. I wanted Dominic Sessa to play as Bob Dylan.
I in my personal opinion, like all Bob Dylan movies should come with like the eye covers to sleep in because Bob Dylan is boring.
Did you ever see that documentary, Don't Look Back? The Bob Dylan documentary from the 60s? You should watch that. It's really good.
If it's talking about Bob Dylan, I'm not watching it. I don't care about it.
Didn't Aaron Taylor Johnson play Bob Dylan? No, he played young John Lennon.
I think Kate Blanchett or Tilda Swinton played as Bob Dylan. There was that one movie that was called like I'm still there, I'm not there or something, and several different actors played as Bob Dylan in that movie.
The best thing you could do when making a Bob Dylan movie is to just not make it.
Yeah.
Because he's boring. And I don't care.
But they're just, I'm saying they're making a biopic about literally anyone these days.
The only thing I care about from Bob Dylan is he did the song The Hurricane about Reuben Carter or whatever, the boxer, which was used in the movie The Hurricane starring Denzel Washington, which I really, really liked. But even that, the fourth verse of that song is just trash.
How do you feel about the saturation of biopics right now?
Some of them are good. Some of them are, not as good. I think that the biopic thing is Hollywood trying to make original movies, but still sort of have that IP.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard to get an original movie, especially if you have a decent budget behind it. It's hard to get people to see it now because, and it's Hollywood's fault for conditioning people to want to see sequels and reboots and everything. And so I think that this is their way of trying to get back to original films, but they're like, oh, people know who this person was. We can tell this original story about this person, and it doesn't have to be a sequel, but but there's still that like recognizability.
It's basically a sequel to someone's life.
Well, yeah.
I heard that the Amy Winehouse one is getting really bad scores, and it's seen as very disrespectful.
The Amy Winehouse one looks terrible.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say to Brett, when I think of the song Hurricane, I think of Matthew McConaughey walking into the pool hall in Dazed and Confused.
Okay.
That's what I think about. It's such an iconic shot, and Hurricane is playing. That's what I think about. But Hurricane is also such a long song. Like,
the last verse is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like the first three verses talk about what happened to him and go into more detail. Then the fourth verse is like this weird Bob Dylan fanfic that makes no sense. I hate it. And I hate Bob Dylan. I do. I don't care what anybody says.
What you're not taking into account...
I don't take a lot of hot takes like that, but I can't stand Bob Dylan.
What you're not taking into account is...
That's such a random
the
thing
boomer
for you
audience.
to hate.
Look, who has the most money? Boomers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Who's not working and can go to the movie theaters at 2
Just
2
make
p.m.?
a
Boomers.
movie about like going on a cruise to Bermuda or something. They'll watch that.
If like Owen Benjamin needs to just have a whole channel making fun of boomer movies because that's what he loves to do on Twitter is just dunk on boomers.
And I kind of love it.
He needs a whole thing just dunking on boomers. There was 2 boomers on the plane that I met that when we were coming home that I imagine he would have taken to task.
What makes you say that?
They were just I can't explain it. They were just
They were talking about how affordable homes are these days and how millennials need to stop whining.
Like, I'm imagining them talking about like, let's take this vacation and not put kids away for our money away for our kids.
Yeah.
All right. There was more announcements though. It wasn't just that. There's going to be Incredibles 3. Sorry, folks. Too little, too late.
Why too little, too late?
Incredibles 2 sucked.
It did, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it was.
What year was that?
It was
It
long
was like
after.
2019, 2018.
Plus, most people just consider that it completely like abandons the spirit of the original.
Actually, now that I think about it, that's my only like superhero movie I like.
Incredibles?
That counts.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like there's another one out there, but Incredibles 2 basically rehashed a lot of the same plot points, but just gender swapped it where it's like it's Mrs. Incredible, who's
She
the big
steps
one.
into the girl boss role.
The girl boss thing, and it all seemed, the Incredibles 2 just seemed so uninspired, and it was a big letdown because Brad Bird, the director, had previously stated he was never going to make an Incredibles 2 unless like he had a great story for it. And actually, what's funny enough, when this announcement came like a couple days ago, I was talking with some of my friends, and we think, so our theory that we came up with is that he had to get back in Disney's good graces because of the failure of his movie Tomorrowland. And so Incredibles 2 was just like an easy bet to make a film that was profitable.
Oh, there you go.
And it just seemed like he didn't really care about quality. He just needed to get back.
I think people are saying that that's happening right now with Shogun, which they said they weren't going to make a second season of because it's based on a specific story. So if they were to do a season 2, there would be no roadmap for it. But now they're saying that it looks like there's going to be a Shogun season 2, which of course, you know, when they make money off anything, they're gonna continue to milk it.
There's also Finding Nemo 3 coming out, and I don't even remember. I know I watched the second one, but I don't remember it.
It's where she goes to that like aquarium place.
That's different from Nemo 2.
No.
Right?
It was Finding Nemo, then Finding Dory.
Oh, Finding Dory counts as a sequel, not a spin-off? Okay.
It's both, I guess.
They're making a third one for no reason at all.
Also,
and
Amy Poehler.
There's the whole like discourse around Inside Out and Inside Out 2 pisses me off to no end.
Go in there and tell everybody why.
'Cause it's just all about therapy speak, and it's all about psychobabble and how we can teach kids. It's all about how we can teach kids to like
medicalize themselves and be neurotic.
Be neurotic about all of the emotions they feel. So Amy Poehler recently said there should be an Inside Out sequel that focuses on Riley's life as a young adult, then as a young mother, then as a middle-aged person.
Look, I have an idea for Inside Out too. Pixar, if you're listening to this, you know, take great heed because I got some good ideas here. I'm an ideas man. Have you guys ever seen that movie Osmosis Jones?
Nope.
You didn't see Osmosis Jones with Will Smith and Bill Murray? But you know, it's like where Bill Murray has like some sickness and he has to take this pill, and the pill comes down. He's like a superhero, and he works with Osmosis Jones, you know, who's like a cop inside Bill Murray's gut, and they have to find the virus and kill it. But anyways, in Inside Out 2, you know, they have the emotions, but they should have like, you know, the superhero that comes in should be like, you know, a Zoloft pill that can talk.
That'll be the new character in Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
She gets on the SSRIs in middle school. No, the second one is her in middle school, and everyone is saying that it's going to be about her coming out as a lesbian. They really want that for some reason. Could there be anything
more boring?
Oh,
and I know
Chris
that's
Rock instead of,
not actually going to happen, but that's what everyone is saying about it.
Could there be anything more boring?
And look, if you make an Inside Out, 5 about her being in her twilight years, what would be the point of that? Because this is supposedly a franchise for children, right? Do they really want to see that?
I don't care.
You know, we should have Inside Out 5 be about her, you know, really old, and she has dementia and her emotions are just fading away.
Okay, that's not for kids though. That's not a Pixar movie.
And when we show it all to 5-year-olds, we require every kindergarten to take a field trip.
Up, I think the movie Up is about as deep as a Pixar movie should get. Right? Like that's
I mean, I thought WALL-E was deeper in a lot of ways.
Actually, that's a good example too. I really liked that one.
So, you want to talk about the materialists?
Oh, yeah.
At least mention it.
Last of a lot of these announcements is Celine Song's Materialists has cast Zoe Winters, Dasha Nekrasova,
oh hell yeah,
Louisa Jacobson, and Marin Ireland. And I just found this funny because a lot of people got angry that Dasha's name was in the headline, and I think they did that for the outrage.
Dasha's great. I love Dasha.
I don't really.
Do we want to watch this clip?
Go ahead.
Is that what you want to? That's the whole point here. Here we go.
I want to do the
classic.
What is this?
It's a classic.
We're asking people why they like Bernie Sanders.
For InfoWars.
Yes, we are InfoWars.
I think he has a lot of integrity. I like his value system. I like what he stands for.
Exactly what values.
Eating the rich.
Eating the rich. Well, are you aware that Bernie Sanders lives in $3 million homes?
No, I was not aware of that.
Yeah. And are you aware? I'm going to ask you something. So if they're about eating the rich, why do you think so many of the 1% support socialism?
Is that true?
It's very true.
Like who?
Well, for example, you know Venezuela, right?
No, I've
A
never
majority
heard
of the country.
Venezuela.
Never heard of it. While their politicians are drinking champagne on a daily basis.
But that's not the 1%.
The 1% of Venezuela.
I'm talking about America.
Well, I'm saying, since if Bernie Sanders were president, right, and he wanted to bring the same ideas as for socialism into this country, do you think that we would benefit?
Yeah.
But I just told you Venezuela is eating rats.
I love rats.
But I just want people to have health care.
They're delicious.
I don't
Rats
want,
are
like,
yummy.
High protein.
Well,
Oh my god. You people have like worms in your brain, honestly.
I mean, you're the one who can't answer the question.
What question?
The question is why you support socialism.
Yeah.
You can have healthcare without socialism.
I want people to have free health care.
Why free?
Pays for.
Why would the government pay for it?
Because I think everyone has a right to have health care.
So what's an example of a free healthcare?
Human being.
What's a good example of having free healthcare?
What?
What's a good example of having free healthcare? Like a good country?
Denmark.
Well, are you aware that Denmark has one of the highest tax rates in the world?
Yeah, I would pay more taxes. if
Really?
I could have
So let's say this. Let's say somebody smokes a pack of cigarettes a day and you don't. You think you should pay for their healthcare?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should.
Really?
Of course.
So you're paying for their bad mistakes?
Yeah.
You're okay with that? Okay, we have it. Here you go.
Dasha's a really good troll.
I don't even know if that was trolling. Looking
She's-
back on it,
She's gone definitely more to the right since
people
then.
are just very mad that she still gets work in films.
Yeah, she was
and
just
shows.
in a movie that I saw in the theaters called The Beast with Léa Seydoux, and people were mad when she
Yeah.
posted a photo with Léa Seydoux, and they're like, "How can Léa be friends with Dasha? She's such an evil blah blah blah."
Is it true that she lost her role on Succession because of taking like selfies with Alex Jones?
I think because of her
That's crazy.
interview with Alex Jones.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
is that really true?
That's what I heard. But
But if you can get work after that, that's proving everyone wrong.
That could have been cringe of the day. It would have been like retro cringe of the day.
Yeah.
It could have been retro cringe of the day.
Dasha's a
Throwback
nice.
cringe.
All I'm gonna say is Dasha's a nice lady, and I'm glad she's in more work. She's
Well,
in
I don't
more
know. All
movies.
of these people on Twitter are saying that she's an untalented, ugly racist and that she should never be employed for the rest of her life and she should live in a barrel.
She's
I don't know who to believe.
She's a nice lady.
I'll just believe you. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic discussion. We solved a lot of issues with that one.
Yeah.
America's just one step closer to utopia, ladies and gentlemen. Let's
Yeah.
go. All right, time to move on. Speaking of, let's move on. Time to talk about Kevin Spacey, and what it looks like, guys, is Hollywood is set to uncancel Kevin Spacey because it looks like he is going to be portraying Frank Sinatra in an upcoming biopic. This is
Yeah.
very different from doing movies that are happening overseas or small independent films.
Yeah, he's not wallowing in micro budget indie films anymore. He's back, baby. So Paul Schrader just did an interview with Variety where he had to answer for his decision to cast Kevin Spacey in this Frank Sinatra movie. He said that he had just been talking to Kevin Spacey for the first time in years. And last July, he was cleared of sexual assault allegations from 4 different men. But he is technically found not guilty for those crimes.
Yes.
Schrader thought it was time to bring him in from the cold. Quote, cancel culture won't let him go. He's reading a book about how Charlie Chaplin was canceled. And I was like, wait, Charlie Chaplin was canceled? What were his crimes? So I just looked it up and it says marriages to teenage girls, accusations of pedophilia, and there's a whole laundry list of other things. And he apparently met his second wife when she was 12 and married her 4 years after that. So that's kind of weird.
That's why I'm
Cancel culture, guys. Cancel culture.
That's why I'm a Buster Keaton maximalist.
Cancel culture was alive and well in the 1920s, guys.
It actually was. There was a guy who got accused of the R thing. I don't know if you're allowed.
The R thing.
The R
you
thing.
are allowed to say it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
YouTube relaxed the rules on that.
Doesn't end with the R. It ends with the ape. But he got accused of it. And he ended up not doing it. His name was like Fatty something or whatever. Like I forget what his name is, but he was like known as being like this big fat guy that would be in films, and he was in a bunch of movies. And the studios ended up burning almost all the prints of the films that he had been in. There's only like one film of his that still exists to this day. They try to wipe him from like.
Fatty Arbuckle.
Fatty Arbuckle.
Yep. Thank you, chat.
They tried to essentially just like memory hole his entire existence. Yeah,
I forgot about that.
And he ended up getting found. I believe he got found not guilty as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say that constitutes what Me Too was or what cancel culture was or is today.
It was. Yeah. But obviously, there's similarities, but culturally it was a very different time as well.
Do you think that this is the time where, look, we talk a lot about how the average person doesn't follow the ins and outs of Hollywood and doesn't follow what's going on in their personal lives. They know Harvey Weinstein.
They've maybe heard of Harvey Weinstein.
No,
Honestly,
I know.
don't know.
I think that story went so viral. I think that name is synonymous now.
They still don't even know what he was accused of, really.
I think that.
Did you listen to the Harvey Weinstein audio tapes?
I do think that Kevin Spacey's story was also quite big, but I also think that a lot of people will just be like, you only have room in your brain for so much attention. And what they'll say is if a Kevin Spacey movie is coming out, it's like, oh, he must have not done it.
Right.
Why would they
Well,
be
that's what
making a
Paul
movie?
Schrader is saying.
Yeah.
They said Paul Schrader collects politically incorrect opinions like an 8-year-old acquires Pokemon cards. So much so that he's been asked by production companies to stop posting on Facebook in the weeks leading up to his film releases. Now that is smart marketing.
His Facebook posts are funny though.
They need to tell these celebrities to like not use Twitter and not use Instagram for like posting about Palestine, posting about all of their political opinions before their movies come out. I firmly believe that.
Well,
stop with the Twitter fingers.
I would say that I'd be more excited for Paul Schrader's new movie if Master Gardener was like any better. I thought it was like all right. Card Counter was pretty good. I mean, like I've seen a lot of Paul Schrader's movies. Obviously, he wrote for Martin Scorsese, and he wrote Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. He wrote the Yakuza. The Sidney Pollack film back in like 1972 or something, and so I've watched Paul Schrader movies all my life, and about the Kevin Spacey thing as well. It's kind of like so many other like actors and producers and stuff are doing this that you don't know about. Like, are you gonna suddenly moralize because now you kind of know that this guy might be a weirdo creep when it's like. And so many people already have the assumption that a lot of people in Hollywood are weirdo creeps. We just don't know the details.
And that's the thing. Like when people talk about not seeing certain movies because an actor is in it, I'm like, if you've seen that list of people working on that film, there's likely somebody doing something very degenerate in that cast right now.
I've heard a lot of stories that just never made it to the press or anything, but some stories that I heard from some of my friends in Hollywood, which I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But it never makes it to the press. It all gets kind of covered up or nobody talks about it.
And I'm one of those people. Look, I don't stop watching movies or enjoying art because a person is, especially in this day and age, when the standard bearer for like what is considered offensive is so low anyways.
Yeah.
That like I'm not gonna stop watching The Usual Suspects. I'm not gonna stop watching House of Cards or anything else that I've liked that Kevin Spacey has done just because I think he's a scumbag. That's just me personally.
I would be a hypocrite. I would be a complete hypocrite if I refused to watch a Kevin Spacey on moral grounds, considering that I love movies with Klaus Kinski in them. And I think by most accounts, Klaus Kinski was much worse than Kevin Spacey as a man.
Well, some of these people like Kevin Spacey or Harvey Weinstein were just chosen as sacrificial lambs for Me Too. I'm not saying that because they're innocent. I'm just saying that they were just scapegoated to hide other people.
It's like they're the bad guys. Don't look at what everybody
Don't
else
look
is
over
doing.
here.
Don't look over here. We got rid of it. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of this stuff, a lot of this sexual harassment, a lot of this stuff is still going on, but they can, they're biding themselves time. And I mean, I wish that like these very degenerate people weren't in Hollywood, but Hollywood tends to attract these kinds of people.
It's like Harvey Weinstein he produced so many movies that you've likely seen and loved. That like
he produced a lot of really good films. And
am
actually,
I not going to like the Scream franchise anymore
Yeah.
because Harvey Weinstein is a piece of shit? Like, no, I'm still gonna love those movies.
And he was doing more than a lot of studios now because he was actively finding like younger directors and bringing up new talent, especially in the 90s, which. And actually having them make their own original films, whereas studios now, if you make like a low budget movie, they just want to put you onto a Marvel film or something. They want to just make you a company man.
Well, that's the whole point, right? Like I remember getting into this with people where I talked about how like Marvel likes to control their directors, and they point out like there's directors there that are big name directors, but for the most part, a lot of those films are made by people you've never heard of because it's really just Kevin Feige making the movie anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. But it's not going to stop me from watching these movies. Now, do I care about a Frank Sinatra biopic? Hell no.
Well, what's funny is this is going to come out very close to Martin Scorsese's Frank Sinatra biopic, and I understand that they're covering different periods of his life, but they did the same thing with the Elvis one, the Elvis and Priscilla, but also what was the other one?
So there's the Baz Luhrmann one.
Yeah, but
there's a Sofia Coppola one.
Yeah.
Yes, but there was another example. Escapes me right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just is going to confuse audiences.
And this is going to be, I think this will be kind of a test to see like if this movie does. Now, again, coming back in a biopic is not even really going to be, it's kind of like how Will Smith is making Bad Boys 4 right now, which should have been his first movie back after everything that happened with Chris Rock in the slap.
Okay, you don't need a
awesome.
comeback from Slapgate.
No, I think that
Right?
Chris Rock needed to come back after he said he needed to go to therapy after that. I'm
but
like, dude,
the point
that
is
was
like
hilarious.
If Kevin Spacey was to come back in a big budget movie, that would be more of a test of whether people are willing to go see him or not. Because I don't think biopics make enough at the box office to really gauge what those numbers will be.
I know, because I think studios are interpreting the success of Oppenheimer wrong. I think that they're interpreting as like everyone wants to see a biopic, and not as everybody wants to see the new Christopher Nolan movie.
Yes.
So I think that they're like, biopics, made $1 billion.
They always learn the wrong lessons.
I mean, and it's not, I mean, it's kind of a biopic, but it's still, for the most part, it's not a dramatization, but it's so in depth, and it's like 3 hours. Like no other director's getting away with a 3-hour cut of a theater biopic.
Yeah, and doing it on IMAX, making a whole like spectacle show, like showing it on 70mm IMAX, and all and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I drove to San Antonio to watch it on 70mm IMAX. It was awesome.
I'm not interested in this film, but I am interested to see what the public response is to Spacey. And also, you'll have to pay attention, for instance, to how the movie is marketed. Will his name be heavy in the marketing for something like this? If you remember when we were just talking about,
I don't know how it couldn't be.
Yeah, like when we were talking about the Kenneth Branagh Perot movies earlier, when they made Death on the Nile. It was right around the time that Armie Hammer's allegations were coming out, and so. Who was originally in the first trailer supposed to be this big name, because Armie Hammer was a big name at that time. When the next trailer came out, his name is pushed to like 4th page credits, and he's barely in the trailer.
Yeah, it was Gal Gadot who was
the selling point.
Yeah, the selling point
for that. So it'll be interesting to see if why even bother bringing him about this long after all of that if you're not going to make his marketing a huge part of the film. But that'll take a brazen first step, and then they'll be able to judge based on that first trailer whether people are, amenable to seeing him in films again. It'll be interesting to see.
But I also want to like just point out that Paul Schrader doesn't exactly get like huge budgets. His last 3 films have not had like incredibly high budgets at all. So my guess is that this isn't going to be some big movie. It'll probably be probably a $20 to $30 million film. On the lower end of like a mid-budget movie.
Somebody says Armie Hammer was a big name. He was a growing name. At that time, there was a lot of buzz about him potentially playing Batman. Like he was becoming more popular.
He shouldn't have been canceled. Like that was one of the stupidest Me Too's.
Well, I mean, a lot of people just focused on the text messages and not on the actual allegations, which is why it was discredited. I'm not saying I believe the allegations, but it kind of got lost in translation because everyone was just looking at these screenshots of him saying that he wants to barbecue your ribs.
All right, let's go to Super Chats. Let's get some Super Chats here. We got a bunch. Let's get a second crisis party, guys. Come on, it's Friday.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Thanks for being the only non-cringe red carpeters."
That's us, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, that video will be out tomorrow at 11 a.m. So tomorrow, the Mr. Bertram red carpet video will be out at 11, and the Mr. Bertram review for the first episode will be out at 7 p.m. that night. So please do go and check that out. We had a lot of fun making that.
We really pride ourselves on being non-cringe.
We work very hard to not be cringe.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Friday, Brett, Mary, and Kino. Mary, did you get to go by and meet Dr. Marshall before going to the movie? I was busy and didn't get to watch IRL." No, I did not meet Taylor Marshall.
I know you were bummed because you wanted to meet.
I did want to meet him, but I saw him from afar in France last year, and I was too scared to say hello.
Taylor who?
Taylor Marshall.
Oh.
Do you want to explain who that is?
He's like a Catholic YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks to Mary, we're pretty big in the Catholic YouTube space.
Yeah. Cora Nelson said hello again to our favorite weirdos, Brent and Marguerite. Happy Friday.
Well, thank you. I've taken.
You're getting creative now.
A liking to the fact that my name is never actually said correctly on the show. It's okay.
Corey Anderson said, "I don't know what a Kino corner is, but can you bring back the girl that wore a matching dress with Mary? Also, in your opinions, why are farts funny?"
Who was the girl that wore the matching dress with you?
Nina.
Was that Nina?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we won't have any disrespect towards Kino corner today.
Do you want to tell everybody what, we kind of didn't do it in the intro. You want to tell everybody what your channel's all about?
Yeah, I talk about movies.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess I'm here.
Yeah. It's a pretty good reason.
I do, a lot of times I do like in-depth analyses on films, and sometimes I do a bit of like film history, and every now and then I don't really do a lot of like film reviews. I'll probably do like a traditional film review maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
I like the literally me about the killer.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
My videos are, it's film analysis, but way more like shit posty, I guess. And my latest video is me going back to movies that got terrible reviews and seeing if maybe the critics were wrong. But my next I have a couple videos that are going to be coming out. So one is going to be literally me on a film called Under the Silver Lake. I don't know if you guys watched that. It's with Andrew Garfield. It's a conspiracy noir. And I shot a little short documentary with Uwe Boll at his house in Germany. So I'm going to be posting that pretty soon. And then the big project I've been working on for 6 months has been the history of Irish cinema for the last 100 years. So
in depth.
Very in depth. I've read many books. I've watched about 80 films for it. I still have a few more films left to watch. I know that my roommate, he's getting tired of seeing green grass on our TV.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Let's do 2 more.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, "There's a cow. There's another cow." I think it's the same cow.
Yes, it's a Twister reference.
Serenco Productions said, "Wow, good-looking people starring in a summer blockbuster movie with seemingly little to no the message pushing. Sign me up."
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. We will give a review, and hopefully there is as minimal of the message or whatever message you don't like in that film.
It probably won't be bad.
Keep it to a minimum. And there was one from Corey Anderson. Tornado do not appear out of nowhere. The opening, that opening dumb. I guess that's true. They don't just appear out of nowhere.
You've never seen a tornado like this before.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about AI movies, because this is a topic that comes up all the time on this channel these days. It feels like it's becoming more of an issue. I like to make fun of all the people in the arts who get really up in arms about this, just because I find them unbelievably annoying.
There is an anti-AI bandwagon, but there's also a pro-AI bandwagon.
It's just kind of a shit-talking AI pro-AI bandwagon, because I'm not. I just like to make fun of the people that are really against it. And
we're not true believers believers in AI or against it, really.
When it comes to this, I'm the Joker, basically.
We're pro chaos, I guess. So this is the first AI generated rom-com, or at least it appears to be, and it's produced by TCL TV. Which is the home appliances and television manufacturer.
This tracks because if you want an unbelievably mediocre TV, TCL is the company for you. So this is awesome.
They're creating their own streaming service, and this is going to be one of the first things they put on it. It's called Next Stop Paris. And they actually released the trailer for it last month, but we missed this, and it's just making the rounds again.
Let's watch this here, guys. It's art, guys.
It's beautiful.
So, Claire, what's your stop?
The City of Lights. I'm hoping it's a new start.
I don't think we have to pray for longer.
Maybe you're the dark, mysterious kind of man who never shows his vulnerability.
Got a feeling that the wait is over.
Maybe you're the kind of woman who's never sure what you want, even if it's right in front of you.
From all of the hardship, I know that our wings hit. Darling, this is where we make it.
In life's journey,
There's quite a lot of taking.
sometimes the heart moves too fast.
Del, wait, don't go.
Sometimes too slow. But if you
They're just
time it
staring at
just
Grace.
This is
right,
satire, right?
No?
that's when love arrives.
Claire,
I thought you gave up on me.
I'm not going to let you go.
Who's excited?
If Hallmark Channel doesn't come out with Next Stop Madrid, then they're just failing. Okay?
They really should be on this. So this is an original production originating from the studio as an AI-generated special. It features professional voice actors and an original script. So the humans wrote the script for it, but they're basically using Stable Diffusion and other technologies to put it into something that you can watch, maybe tolerate. It opens with a young woman on a train who, despite being heartbroken that her fiance ran off with someone in her wedding party,
Look, I hate it when that happens.
has decided to go to her Paris honeymoon destination solo. While on board, she meets a mysterious stranger, and their love story blossoms as they explore the City of Lights together.
The best version of this would be like, and to watch it in optimal performance, you have to watch it on a TCL TV as well.
Of course.
You can't. If you watch this on a Samsung TV, it's just gonna look like shit.
It has to be.
And make sure to have motion smoothing on.
Yes. It has to be formatted particularly for your TCL TV.
And Tom Cruise comes in to do that video that he did with Christopher McQuarrie to talk about turning off the motion smoothing, and he's like, a lot of times you're watching a movie and it doesn't look quite right, and you just don't know why. Like,
well, this is an experiment.
This is
wrong.
This is giving me like the same kind of vibes I got from like the Polar Express.
Yes.
And,
Uncanny Valley.
No, I loved Polar Express.
Cringe.
I was just a kid at the time, so I didn't know the difference.
Have you tried rewatching it, or like Beowulf? Remember the Beowulf movie?
You can still tell that Polar Express was, animated by human beings.
Well, yeah, no, this is obviously made by AI.
Yeah.
And I just think that everything about this is like just uncanny and not in a good way. I'm not exactly on the AI hate. I think that AI is great for making shit posts. Like, it's so easy now to make like insane shit posts for Twitter with AI, but as far as like it being used in movies, I haven't been able to see an example where it actually made anything better. I think with the whole thing of like AI writing scripts, I've played around with ChatGPT and everything to like write scripts. In fact, I have a video on my channel where I had AI write the video on my channel, and it gives you the most like midwit sort of not super great. It's not
even like a take, because I think ChatGPT and other AI, it's just not capable of sounding opinionated on anything. You have to say
there's something when
general statements.
There's something with creativity that is the human spark, like the human soul that goes into it. Now, to be fair, a lot of Hollywood is pretty soulless. So I was gonna.
That's I think where most people's point of contention is these days. They're like, look, it would be one thing if you were pumping out good art on a regular basis, but especially for the big budget stuff that people are watching, a lot of that does feel soulless.
I mean, a lot of Marvel films feel like they could be written by AI.
Like, even more so that, like, I watched the trailer for Twisters, and I felt more for that than I have for a Marvel movie in a long time.
The thing that I hope AI does is it creates this threshold, right? Where it's like, AI's not going to be able to give us, like, the next Godfather or the next Citizen Kane or something. That takes, like, a real creative talent, right? To give us films that are that great. But it can give us, like, the most kind of mid-tier, mid-wit stuff. You know, but it can create this threshold, and it's like, look, if you want to compete with AI, you have to get better.
I also think that a lot of it is that, look, when you talk about the process of AI finding information and then condensing it down and giving you a bunch of information that's been processed, it's different from somebody telling their life experience or telling a story that's unique to them. It is not a bunch of categorized and collated bits of information that add up to something. It's a unique experience.
Well, and it's not just the unique experience, it's the unique subjective experience too. It's that subjective experience that you can portray onto film that allows, like, the audience to feel empathy towards the character.
This is why a lot of people have a problem with modern Hollywood's decision to go with writing by committee. That it doesn't feel like a unique experience anymore.
Yeah, you know, I actually went through this a while ago. We had a script that, you know, got kind of popular among writer circles in LA, and we had a studio who picked up the script. And what happened was, it first goes to, like, the intern. The intern then gets us back notes. Hey, I really liked it, but if you want the guy above me to like it, you're gonna have to change this, 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 and this. So my writing partner, I told him, I was like, hey, just don't change anything. Let's just force this thing up. And he's like, no, we got to change it. This is how you play the game. It goes through several stages, and every other person who doesn't even know what they're talking about is saying, you got to change this thing about the story. You got to take out this thing. By the time it actually got to the top, it was totally neutered. It didn't have a voice. I was like, this script sucks.
But that's
now.
what AI does. It aggregates opinions and inputs from the entire...
Somebody in the chat says AI can pull from all human experience. I don't want something pulled from all human experience.
No,
I want something pulled from an individual's human experience. Because there's already enough cooks in the kitchen in the entire filmmaking process. So a person writes a story, and it goes through editing. Now, theoretically, you go through minimal editors so that it touches as few hands as possible. But then it goes to production design, and then it goes to a director, and it goes to... There's so many levels to the filmmaking process that it really is a miracle when it comes out well, because that type of collaboration isn't easy.
So I will say this, to a point you said earlier, like, if a trailer is really long, does that mean it's going to be a bad movie? And I said, not necessarily. But what I will say is, if you want to know if a movie's gonna be really mediocre, go on IMDb and see how many writers are credited.
Yeah.
If there are a ton of writers credited, it's probably not gonna be that.
I mean,
good.
I say the same thing. Like, I'm not even a huge fan of, like, multiple directors on a movie.
That hardly ever happens. So
like, they were doing that with Marvel movies back in, like, there was, like, 2 directors on Black Widow and a couple of other ones. I'm like, I don't want that. I want one director's vision for this film.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different with showrunners. Like, a lot of good shows that I like have had multiple showrunners, but that's not quite the same thing.
Well, the process of TV is a lot different than film too.
Yeah, for this, like, I'm laughing at this. Somebody says this is like AI is just going to get better and better, and this is all cope. Look, I've got no skin in the game either way. I will continue to I will continue to make whatever, or make videos and whatever. If we watch a movie,
I think the computer is revolting.
It is. We're gonna make a movie. If we watch a movie in 10 years and we review it, that's a great movie made by AI. I'll call it great. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But we do have to go through all of the discussing film articles where the creatives get mad at what was the movie with Dust Malkin that just came out, Late Night with the Devil, because of 3 AI images that appeared in it, and everyone gets bent out of shape about it.
It's like, and it's
annoying.
They appear in it for seconds. So the thing is that movie had way more problems than just the AI intertitles. You know, like I watched that film. You know, it's not necessarily like terrible, but you know, the problems with the movie were not the AI intertitles. That's what I'll say. But yeah.
After the strikes, particularly, I think that people, I mean, this probably applies to a lot of people in the chat right now. People became more sympathetic to AI taking over Hollywood and threatening people's careers in Hollywood because they're incredibly entitled. And that's fair, but spitefully supporting AI movies and lacking faith in human creatives does not faith in AI make. You know, I don't think that you should have a blind faith in progress for any form of technology.
I think we just need different creatives. I feel like the creatives who are being pushed up now are just not very good.
I don't think it's just that. I think that the process is no longer, like I said, it's writers' rooms.
We got a $20 from, who's this?
It says Hero, I can't read the full name here. Hero Return of the Humans.
Like to send you to Hero merch. Where do I mail it to?
We don't have a P.O.
Thanks
box
for the content,
anymore.
guys. Yeah, we don't have a P.O. box.
Too many weird things got sent there.
Yeah, it got weird.
Yeah, but thank you for the super chat. That's all you need to send us. Thanks you.
Anyway.
We appreciate that, and thank you for watching. It's got a lot to do with writers' rooms in the fact that most people look. We talk about it all the time. I don't think that Hollywood is devoid of creativity. I think that the bean counters aren't going to approve $100 to $200 million budgets for movies that have the type of creativity that people actually want. Why? Because Fall Guy cost $160 million and made $20 million and made $30 million at the box office. And even that was based on a television show, but was at least an original idea that was very different from the script. But the average movie like that, with none of the IP around it, again, I loved The Creator. Cost $80 million to make, barely made any money.
People don't actually pay attention to the new original ideas.
Yeah, well, I think that that's Hollywood's fault too, because I think that Hollywood saw like Marvel and saw sequels and reboots as a gold mine in the 2010s and basically conditioned audiences to only go to see movies for IP, and they got away from the whole star system because, you know, back in the day, like say in the 70s, Jack Nicholson could do some weird movie or some like Jack Nicholson could do a movie like King of Marvin Gardens and still have people show up. He could do One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And
Denzel Washington could do that.
Yeah, and so and so when you had the star system, and yeah, the stars, you can say that they get overpaid, but people go to see the movie. People at least went to see the movies because of the stars. So yeah, you know, they got more money than maybe a person should get for that job, but really they're getting paid for all the marketing stuff to get people to see the film. And
it's like when they say athletes are overpaid. I'm like, have you seen how many people are in the stands at those events?
Yeah.
All of which are paying to be there.
Yeah, paying
like,
a lot of money.
That. We went to see a $100 million movie last night, and there was like 2 rows of people there. Then think about a football game, and the stadium is full every single time. Tickets that cost quadruple what those cost.
And that doesn't even show the gambling around those
games.
Well, yeah, and so it's like when we moved away from the star system to the IP system, now people, they go to see a movie because they recognize, you know, the whatever franchise it's a part of. And I think that when we had the star system, I think it made for more interesting films and more original films.
I keep saying, like, what I miss is we've left the era of the good $50 million movie.
Yeah.
Or even the good $100 million movie before. Like, Tony Scott made amazing movies with $50 to $100 million budgets that I still watch to this day.
Yeah, Tony Scott had a real knack for just beautiful images too.
Yeah, I love Deja Vu. I watched it, or Man on Fire.
Man on Fire, also that
again, Denzel, which was based on it was another movie, but a lot of people probably went to see it because Denzel was in it.
The Hunger, the vampire movie with David Bowie. I think that was his first one. Top Gun, of course, Top Gun. That was Tony Scott.
There's just and of course that's a director, not a but those stars, right? You had Man on Fire had Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
You had Deja Vu was also
Denzel.
and also a younger Jim Caviezel in that.
Yeah, and then in The Hunger was David Bowie, and I think was it Catherine Deneuve?
Yeah. Just. We've gotten away from the system. In IP, to me, it'll always feel more soulless and empty. It is also part of the reason we're screwed, because then they're just going to drop whoever they want in there, regardless of talent.
Yeah.
And they'll change the characters to look like whatever they want. Back then, you couldn't do that. You can't race swap Al Pacino or Denzel Washington because they're the stars.
Yeah, and also like when you're making these IP movies, you have more cooks in the kitchen because of like whoever owns that IP, whoever owns that that brand or whatever, then they get a say in how you can tell the story, and you know what I mean. And it waters everything down. It's watered down Hollywood actors, and they've been complicit in putting in, and raising up all these like very mediocre actors because they don't really matter. People aren't going to see the movies because of the actors, and they're not going to see the movies because of the directors for in large part too, because every other part of these films is completely interchangeable. It doesn't matter. They're just making soulless products.
Hollywood is raising up mediocre actors. It sucks. Also us. Sydney Sweeney rules. We should give her more movies.
Well, yes! Sydney Sweeney is producing a lot of her own stuff.
I love that about.
Yeah.
I love that she's into the business acumen of it all.
Yeah, and I hope that people like Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell can raise themselves up as like star. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Sydney Sweeney's acting ability, like I hope that they can like work to sort of get that star system back. And I think that that's what they've been trying to do, because I think that when you have a star, like when you have an actor, and the thing is actors will want to make money like everybody else, and they'll take these big budget roles, but then since they're actors, they want to have interesting roles too, and so then maybe they'll go do this like little indie film that's super cool, and then you get more people to watch it.
Sydney Sweeney was basically saying the quiet part out loud about why she took Madam Web. Like, it's a stepping stone. And I wanted to meet people at Sony through that movie.
Yeah.
And she didn't actually care about the movie itself.
When Wes Craven would talk about how all he really wanted to do was make a love story, but he had to keep making horror movies.
He made that love story.
Yeah.
We got a $20 super chat from High Voltage 75. He said, Mr. Corner, recently there's been some discussion on PCC about which Terminator film is better, T1 or T2. Which of the two is your favorite and why?
It's been a little while since I've seen it. Seen either one. I like both. Terminator 2 I watched a lot more as a kid, so I probably have to go with Terminator 2.
I saw a great argument that somebody made that said...
Is that controversial?
No, that's the... Saying T1 is the hot take. But I saw a great point that somebody made. They said T1 is a horror movie and T2 is an action movie, and they're not really comparable.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Alien and Alien.
Thank you, guys.
I point out, I said, like, because of I was sick the first time I ever saw T1, and so when I hear that score, it gives me fever dreams.
Yeah, no, I mean, T1, Schwarzenegger is pretty, he's pretty scary in T1, but he's badass in T2.
I was also pointing out that I still think Salvation is underrated.
Yeah, I had a friend work on Salvation. He was witness to the
chaos.
To the chaos, yeah.
Another director I will unapologetically like, McG.
McG.
I don't give a crap what anybody says. I want him and Michael Bay to do a movie just called Explosion.
I saw somebody years ago describe say McGee's not a director, he's a cheerleader.
Let's go. They do this great thing where he basically I love this part. It was talking about the the difference between, I believe, how I feel like a male and a female director would have taken this, where what McG went to Christian Bale and said, I want you to star in this movie. He goes, nothing in your catalog tells me that you have the chops to do this movie. So no. And then he basically had to talk him into it. He's like, yeah, but you can help me get good enough to make this movie. And he made it for him, and he hated it. And for 10 years, he kept saying yeah, it was all his fault. But he's come around to now saying there was other problems. It wasn't just his fault. But I just think that
I've heard a lot about that set. That set seemed to be a nightmare set.
But the movie still looks good. compared to the CGI of today, it doesn't look awful. And it's a lot of action from start to finish. So I just laugh because I think if a modern day if Olivia Wilde was told that, there would be article after article after article written about the misogyny of Christian Bale for telling her that you're not good enough to direct this movie.
Well, yeah, that's why she's been given so many chances.
Yeah. Well, now what's the movie she's making next that we were talking? She's making the Evangeline movie.
Evangeline.
Yeah. No, and she just got cast in a new movie called Sex Something by Greg Araki.
I don't know.
Sex Something. That's an interesting title.
Well, I forgot. I'm gonna IMDb this really fast.
Okay.
But it's Greg Araki, who's the gay edgelord from the 90s. Who
does that make him the Ryan Murphy of is Ryan Murphy then that?
He's way edgier than Ryan Murphy.
Okay.
Yeah, Let me see. Upcoming, I Want Your Sex. Yeah, that's what the movie's called. So that's what Olivia Wilde is going to star in next.
All right, let's go and let's go to Super Chats.
All right, Hiroshima Otaru said, how is it not a cowboy thing? Pesos Bill exists.
Okay. Look, I just say, what can a cowboy not go to meteorological school? Is that how you said it? Meteorological school.
Meteorology.
Can a cowboy not dabble in meteorology? Come on.
He's breaking a glass
Cowboy Weather Girl. It's a match made in heaven. Somebody make that movie.
Shane H. Wilder said, no one brings up Dante's Peak. It has one of the saddest scenes in a disaster movie with the grandma. I'm going to spoil it. Just watch it. But then I think, I'm sorry if you took it back, but he said, I'm not going to spoil it. My bad, LOL.
Let's do 3 more.
Shadow Zero said, you guys going to watch the auroras that might be visible up to California caused by the massive solar storm hitting the Earth this weekend?
I keep hearing about how we're going to lose the power grid because of solar flares again.
I haven't heard a single thing about this. Yep. Okay. Could be made into a disaster movie. Heavy Burn Man said...
we did that one.
Oh, okay. Corey Anderson said, Kino looks like he just got done watching Cops.
What?
I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
What's wrong with Cops?
Yeah, Cops is a good show.
Yeah. Let's do 2 more. 2 more from...
He also said the movie Cats and CGI are why I don't watch movies.
Fair point.
And Mark Ruffalo is a POS. I hope karma finds him.
Bring back the butthole cut of Cats. All right. They digitally removed all the buttholes from the cats that were in the original cut.
There's another one from Corey Anderson. Let's do the other one from Corey Anderson.
Other than him calling Mark Ruffalo a POS, he said the only remake we need is the 10 Commandments.
All right, guys.
We don't need a remake of the 10 Commandments.
Do another one.
Okay,
we already have a good movie that's called The 10 Commandments. It came out in the 50s.
Yeah.
Heavy Burn Man said Tarantino should direct the Gollum movie. Imagine the Gollum feet potential.
Oh, no.
No.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on. It's time to do our review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It was directed by Wes Ball. It stars Josh Friedman, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver, amongst many others, including many other mocap wearers and CGI artists.
And Owen Teague as Noah.
Yes. So we've got this movie that is... 300 years after the Matt Reeves films?
Yeah, it doesn't tell you in the movie. It just says many generations later. But I looked up interviews last night. Wes Ball said it takes place 300 years after War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, so right off the bat, this movie is ridiculously slow to start. It is.
Very slow.
And we're going to get into some spoilers, I imagine, but this is one of those movies
Everybody dies at the end.
When I say the term aggressively average, that this might be the definition of aggressively average.
Yeah.
I just wanted something unpredictable to happen, and it never did.
Yeah.
Well, I saw people online last night calling it Maze Runner 4.
And so to your point, when we were talking about this when we were coming home, you said that you felt this was a young adult movie, but it's a young adult apes movie.
Yeah, and what's funny, so I did more research into it when I got back to the hotel last night, and supposedly it was pitched as Apocalypto but with apes.
Okay.
And I can kind of see it, but it has. I can kind of see it, but it has all the trappings.
Where's the gore?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I need some gore. I need some nudity. That's what I wanted on my Apes movie. There's not a single shot of realistic, what apes are like from my experience at the zoo. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
What? I don't think I do.
Oh, I gave the writers and not the stars. I apologize. I was like, what is it stars Freya Allen, Kevin Durand, and Daishin Lockman. Calling Daishin Lockman one of the stars is pushing it. She was in the last 5 minutes of the film.
She's not even on screen for 5 minutes. She's
no.
on
You said
screen
Freya
for 2.
Allen, right? The girl from the Witcher.
Yeah. Which I think they should have gotten.
She was a good casting choice, I thought.
I thought they should have gotten the girl who played X-23 in Logan.
I'm not saying I don't think she is beautiful, but I do think she was good casting because she looks Paleolithic.
Okay. And Kevin Durand is who plays Proximus, as we said, could play Elon Musk in a movie if we needed him to. I saw somebody in the chat earlier say Brett likes to drop C and D list actors. I'm about to do that right now because he did a single episode of the show Republic of Doyle starring Alan Hocko in a random episode that had who was it from American Gangster? Not Denzel, but
who was the other guy there? It's been so long.
But the point is he's an actor that you just he's mainly a film actor. But look at this guy; he could totally play Elon Musk.
Yeah, there are other pictures that he could play Elon in a biopic.
It's awesome.
But he says he studied Elon Musk for his role in this as Proximus Caesar,
and that is the point: is they made this ridiculous claim.
2069 or like. You know,
he's not. He's not read it enough to have any similarity. Really.
One thing people will probably ask is a lot of people really love the motion capture and the CGI from the Matt Reeves films.
Yeah.
I think up close, the animation work that's done on the faces of the apes is very, very, very good. The problem is when you go to mid and far shots, it's very hard to differentiate characters.
Yeah, and like, you know, a lot of them are naked. I mean, I know Mary doesn't like nudity in movies.
Naked apes,
I was very happy that, you know, this movie embraced the nudity aspect of the apes.
Great.
Look,
I mean, obviously, like,
no, I wish they were wearing something so that from far away I could like know who was who.
Because Proximus does. Proximus has something on.
I don't like looking at apes. I don't like hearing like I really didn't like hearing their like monkey intonations and the way that they breathe. Like I hate that. Like the whole thing was so distracting. And then you know, they did a good job putting emotion on ape faces and everything. Then they gave them whites in their eyes and stuff, but I just hate looking at apes. I don't like them.
I was looking at their faces like, why the frick couldn't Disney do this for the Lion King?
No, but it's because lions look less like people, okay?
Yeah.
But I really didn't like that, and I knew I wasn't going to like that.
The CGI,
no surprise there.
The CGI had its ups and downs. The other thing that I noticed is like, the CGI of the apes was like serviceable for most of it. There were some shots where like after he falls down off the tower near the beginning and he's like covered in ash, it looked really amazing. The birds, the eagles, did not look good.
No, especially at the end. It looked like they spent more time animating them in the beginning when the characters were being introduced, rather than at the end where they were played the most important role.
Yeah.
And they like they lands back on the arm. I'm like, wow, I can literally see the lines.
Yeah, they look like cartoon birds at the end. But the CGI is not the biggest problem with the movie. The biggest problem with the movie is that it's he's taking his rite of passage as a young man, right? Young monkey man, right? And so he's
ape bar mitzvah.
Ape mitzvah is coming up, and you know, of course, their place gets burned down. He goes on this quest, and then you know, it kind of plays into the young adult tropes where it's like, oh, this authority figure, this bad kind of male authority figure, I have to rebel against him because it's like
Rocco.
No, not Rocco. Proximus.
Okay.
This, you know, I have to rebel against him. I'm this young man, and I'm rebelling against, you know, like this male authority figure. And so it felt a lot of the stuff kind of felt like young adulty type tropes in it.
I didn't read it like that. I mean, it would have been cool if it were like if he found out that he came to save his people and they didn't want to be saved, right? Like, and they actually like drank the Kool-Aid for Proximus. Like that would have been interesting. It would have been interesting if May actually betrayed the chimps. Like it would have been cool if maybe she like tried to genocide them, or if she like tried to murder suicide all of them or something like interesting. But it was just very by the book, like very
I think what
predictable.
I think what one of the biggest problems is that the main conflict doesn't even really come into the story until like an hour and 45 minutes in.
It takes so Proximus is the bad guy, and it takes forever to get to him in the movie.
Yeah,
it does.
And so the issue is you have this whole like kind of slow build up where he's sort of on this journey, right? And I mean in the story structure for the movie is straight out of Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. It's like you can point to like almost everything happening in the movie and point exactly on the hero's journey where that is. So like the way that it's structured feels very like, you know, like written by template. But he doesn't get to Proximus until very late in the film, and then it's like, we're like already an hour 30, hour 40 minutes in.
Shown Proximus before he gets to
Yeah, and
the
so
camp.
so what happens is that you have this like slow build up that really doesn't the characterization is fairly shallow. Like the whole movie's fairly shallow and bland. But by the time they get to Proximus, now everything goes a lot faster, and you don't really get to know Proximus that well.
He should have been in the very beginning.
Yeah, you don't
He
really
should have
get
been
to-
the first thing you like. There's a whole scene at the very beginning of them climbing to the nests.
Yeah.
Cut it out. Get rid of it.
And
Doesn't need to be
I told
there.
you that I was like, is this an Uncharted cutscene?
Yes.
Because it looks like a
It felt that
cutscene
way.
from Uncharted.
Cut that whole scene and start with the massacre at their land.
Yeah.
But have Proximus there, and that's your introduction to the bad guy right off the bat.
Well, and what really works with an antagonist like Proximus, I mean, when you look at the other Planet of the Apes, is there is actually a strong connection between the protagonist and the antagonist, right? And so then you actually feel something, even if the antagonist dies at the end. You feel something for it because you understand the antagonist, and maybe it's like you can make it more tragic. Whereas Proximus talks to Noah for all of like 3 minutes, and then Noah's immediately is like, yeah, screw this guy.
But then they try to kind of do it at the end when you get the very inevitable scene with him and May, and he says Proximus was right. I'm like, that would mean more if you guys spent more time together on screen.
Exactly. Like they had one little conversation together, and that was about it. One small conversation. It's like that's not enough to actually really establish any kind of chemistry between two what are supposed to be lead roles. And the other issue is when they said that his name was Noah, I was like, oh great, is there gonna be a flood?
We gave you a spoiler alert. Yes, there's a flood.
yeah, but it's not even a spoiler. I knew that from the second I heard his name Noah. I'm like, they're gonna.
Don't worry, it's Noah with no H, so
Yeah.
it's very modern. It's very modern, guys. I do think that Kevin Durant does a great job voicing Proximus. I think he gets I think he gets the tone right there.
I think he's a better. I think he's a better voice actor than a lot of the other voice actors for the monkeys because.
Except for Raka, who is the best character in the whole damn movie, and
he's only in it for like 15 minutes.
Gone. As soon as he went away, I go. It's just getting into it.
And that's,
Noah's a wet blanket, and I don't care about the rest of this crap.
Noah's just kind of like this protagonist who really doesn't have a whole lot going on with him character-wise. And I guess the idea is that you just sort of project yourself onto him. He feels like one of those like blank slate protagonists.
But it's not good. Like that's the thing. Like neither Noah nor Freya's her, nor May are really all that much to write home about. And when both of your main characters are kind of middling, and your bad guy, who's supposed to be really, really evil and hard to topple, doesn't come in until you've had your first bathroom break, what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
What do you want me to do?
And that's what made like the.
And
the
William
last,
H. Macy's in there, and I'm just like, you're not. No, just it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, and one of the big problems is that they introduce characters that could be interesting or are interesting for times, but then those interesting characters get killed off or they exit the story in some way not long after they come in. So we're following this like wet blanket of a dude, and I'm like, come on, like. Why didn't you keep this character? If you want him to get killed off, why not like have this actually interesting character die later on, and so that you can develop these relationships, and you can actually make us more emotionally invested in what's happening.
I want William H. Macy to stay alive and teach Raka how to read. And you know what? I don't even care. I'm just gonna spoil it. So like, what was that scene where May kills? Whatever his character was, I don't remember his name.
With her tiny little.
What the hell was
arms?
that?
With her tiny noodle arms.
Oh yeah, she kills William H. Macy.
I know he's an old man, but come on.
I mean, he is like shaking, and he can't keep his cup straight and stuff. But she is 85 pounds, soaking wet, and not as bad as Alicia Vikander in Tomb Raider, which is even more unbelievable, personally.
Yeah.
But,
well, she was. There were two reasons why she was unbelievable as Tomb Raider. You guys never played Tomb Raider?
No, I didn't.
Oh, Lara Croft canonically has huge boobs.
Oh no! I don't know. I thought you would make that joke about Angelina Jolie. then there's two reasons. Yes, that she is believable as
Yeah,
Tomb
yeah,
Raider. But
exactly.
yes,
That's why Angelina Jolie
and they weren't
worked.
cone-shaped enough.
I feel like
Yeah, they weren't triangular enough.
after May kills the old guy, then the chimps should have been like, nah, you're crazy. What the fuck? And then she would have to like hold them hostage and make them climb her up the ledge at gunpoint. And then
Also, I just kind of don't
like
believe
something.
it. I just kind of don't believe it that there was this whole opening just right on top of the vault that those apes who had obviously
Yeah.
been there for a long time just never.
Well, maybe
discovered.
they're just dumb.
Well,
you know,
that's the
because they're
thing.
apes. But
I think the movie makes it like, oh, this is like the apes run now, and then every ape is really stupid.
yeah, like I was like, what's the point of them gaining intelligence and the ability to speak and read if they're still living like savages
Yeah.
and living in the ruins of great human society?
And,
like,
and they have no idea. Oh, this big ship right here must be a naturally occurring phenomenon.
And
they're just
look,
dumb.
at the end, they have the character of May talking to Noah.
This whole
saying-
movie is a coexist bumper sticker, basically.
I mean, at the end of the movie, Noah and May are talking, and she says that was a site of human knowledge and of human experience, and apes don't belong there. I'm like, if you think that this movie was interesting enough that, like, that's a concept that you should have introduced at the very beginning, right? Because we all know like what these movies end up being about. Human bad for the most part, or at least that's the way I always feel about it, right? And it just wasn't good enough to make me want to wait for a second movie to explore that further, because when you get to the end, her whole point of getting into this facility is to get this encryption key so that they can turn on satellites 300 years after they stopped working.
Before I forget to mention this, when they encounter humans in the wild, the savage humans who can't speak, they can't read, they have no intellect, they're all white. And then at the end, when you see all of these humans inside their remote location with all their technology who still have their intellect intact, they're all very diverse. They're very college brochure. And
We'll see.
I can't help but notice that.
It's commenting on how America is better than Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still really believe that they should do the skit where like a black actor wanted to play one of them in the wild, and they're like, we can't let you. I'm sorry. It's like the joke when they're like, Tarzan, time to race swap. I dare you. Never gonna happen in current year.
Do we know where they're supposed to be located? Like a city?
California, maybe?
What city?
Vaguely New Zealandish.
Well, I mean, like the original, or not the original trilogy, but the Matt Reeves trilogy, that was in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Also, guys, I do want to pose a question to you. So a bunch of weapons have been sitting in a non-climate controlled environment for 300 years near the water.
Yeah, literally
and she
on
just goes
the water.
pew pew pew
And
pew pew.
yes, not ammunition not properly stored, weapons not properly stored, and then of all things, the
That's to say nothing of the hard drive.
Yes, the magical hard drive that still works after sitting in a damp room for 300 plus years just turns, like, not even a loading screen, just turns on instantly, and the satellites instantly start working. Now I understand that is a nitpick.
The satellites that have been basically stripped clean for parts as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. It was look, that's the type of stuff I can overlook. That I'm just dunking it. If the movie was good, that's very easy to overlook and be like, look, I don't care about stuff like that. I did laugh because she chose like a Colt revolver that, like, I guess it doesn't really matter. Like it's not gonna jam, but if the gun shouldn't work anyways because it's been sitting that long, like what can you do? I didn't find the movie all that engaging. I wouldn't go see it again. I thought that the CGI work done on the faces was really, really good. And if you like the Matt Reeves movies, you may enjoy this as a single watch, but I don't think you're going to find it anywhere near as engaging as those films.
The next part is Apes in Space. whether
Yeah,
you like
they
it or
kind of
not.
they set it up of both of them like looking at the stars, which I guess maybe means we're gonna get some Jimmy Neutron ape action. They're gonna go those carnival, like those 300-year carnival rides, and retrofit them with rockets. You know, go up into space and fight each other up there. Like, it's setting it up like some war between humans and apes, I guess. But the thing
They
is,
already did War for the Planet of the Apes. What are they going to do now?
World
War II for the Planet. Civil War for the Planet of the Apes. Tim can produce it. It'd be great.
Oh, we have a $20 from Incompetent Hands. He said, Mary, I know you've been busy. Do you have a Firefly update? It's my birthday tomorrow. I'll be watching The Devil's Advocate and End of Days double feature. End of Days is underrated in my opinion.
There you go.
I mean, I have a Firefly update. You're not gonna like it. I watched the pilot.
Didn't like it.
I haven't gotten much further. That's like over an hour long pilot, and it was just terrible. I don't understand why you guys like this show. Also, I don't even know what the name of the lead actor is, but he looks like Walmart version Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, not a fan of Nathan Fillion.
Am I wrong?
I like him better than Ashton Kutcher. Nathan Fillion, Mal is better. There's a $20 one there from the People's. I can't read the whole thing.
He said, Mr. Corner, what is your opinion on Poor Things?
The
People's Weenus.
You mean the remake of Frankenhooker? I mean, Poor Things is kind of a remake of Frankenhooker.
Sounds about right.
They posted it. You know, the cinematography, set design, you know, that stuff was cool. I liked the first hour of the movie a lot better. I thought that the movie thought that it was way edgier than it was, because it's like, oh look, we have these like sex scenes in here, and it's like, dude, it's like but its messaging was so just like 90s like lib feminist stuff that's honestly so safe to do in a movie now. If you're gonna make an edgy movie, like obviously they thought that Poor Things was edgy. If you're gonna make an edgy movie, you gotta also have the messaging be edgy as well, and this messaging was so like lame and just so
What was
tired.
the messaging?
The messaging is just, it was like woman empowerment. You need to have sex with random men to find yourself.
But what about the part where she's a baby, though? Like, I just feel like this is a sign we're swinging back as a culture to the ideas, or not the ideas, the attitudes towards pedophilia that were prominent in the 70s, which is that it's okay.
Well,
and that
one of the things that, you know, obviously you could say is maybe a plot hole in the movie is that the movie takes place over, I don't know, like maybe a year, but she had been this baby brain and, you know, this adult body, and then she seems to go from being a baby to being like, oh, I'm a doctor. Like, it ends with her being like, I'm a doctor now, or like, I'm this like really intelligent person. That happens like really quickly. But my other issue with Poor Things is that it was way too long. It has this whole bait and switch ending, and then it just goes on for like a whole other storyline that gets like inserted into the third act. And I was ready for it to be done, and then they started this whole other storyline. So I thought that it was, I thought that the movie was too long. I thought that its messaging was just too tired.
Fourth Crisis Party, let's go!
Thank you.
That's the third one. Let's get fourth one.
Okay, we missed another $20 from Rhaegar Targaryen. I can't wait for the Mauler.
EFAP.
I don't know what that is.
Every frame of pause. It's his live stream.
Also, speaking of Catholic YouTubers, Pints with Aquinas had H. Pearl Davis on to debate Trent Horn. It was about if men should get married. I did not know she was raised Catholic. Yeah, she's mentioned that before. She said that she's questioning remaining Catholic because she thinks that we simp for Mary.
Olivia pointed out when we were watching, I got her to watch Netflix Daredevil, that Deborah Ann Wool is just pretty Pearl. She's just Pearl if she was pretty.
I would have to look. I don't know.
So yes, Guy, I think we'll cut the Planet of the Apes part before that, but I don't think it's worth your guys' time.
No, it's not.
No, all you have to know about Planet of the Apes is that at a certain point, I was checking the time many times. To
Yeah,
be
you
like,
were.
Is this like over yet?
Yep. All right, let's do these super hits, guys. Let's get to a Fourth Crisis Party.
Shane H. Wilder said, remember when Peter Jackson said he wanted to remake the trilogy as 3 movies for each book? I think he scrapped it after the Hobbit trilogy. Well, if that's the way you wanted to do it that way from the beginning.
But The Hobbit should not have been a trilogy. I mean, the book is like 300 pages.
That's why it made no sense. The Last of My Kind said Dune 1985 without subs is impossible to understand.
I understood it. I understood the David Lynch Dune without subs, so maybe you just have bad hearing.
Here's
Have you seen
Deborah Ann
Blue
Wool.
Thing? I don't think she looks like Pearl.
I
She
think
just
she's-
has the same hair color.
She looks like Pearl to me. She does.
Is that yassified Pearl Davis?
That would be, if possible. That was Deborah Ann Wool when she was in True Blood.
Okay. Corey Anderson said, let Olivia Wilde direct the Lord of the Rings movie F Hollywood. Well, I know F Hollywood, but not F Lord of the Rings. Like, we want good Lord of the Rings movies.
Well, I mean, we want...
Or none.
We want good movies. Like, I never go to the movie theater going, oh, man, it's going to be so awesome to hate this movie. I can't wait to spend $15 to just waste 2 hours of my time.
I've done it a couple times, but we don't pay for our movie tickets. So.
Very lucky.
Yeah, we are lucky for that. Daniel G sent $10 without a message. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Heavy Burn Man said, when are they going to adapt the Shadow of Mordor games? I want to see my main man Talion and his spooky ghost companion, Kellett Brimbor, on the big screen.
That honestly would probably be a better idea than doing a movie about Gollum.
Just no more Lord of the Rings content. I'd be happy with that.
Content? They're films.
It's content at this point. The hunt for Gollum is content. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, you're supposed to beat Brett, not break him.
That is true.
Brett,
this is mental abuse.
Hey, is that Tariq Nasheed movie, Brett Breaking?
Yeah, he's Brett broken right now. John Bert said, OMG, I almost forgot to smash that like button.
We tap the like button here. We don't smash it.
We gently tap the like button.
We do.
Philip Reed said, oh, no, we already read that one. Gordon Shumway, the main issue that these Swifties looking for a guy who likes Taylor Swift is that those guys are also looking for a guy who likes Taylor Swift.
That's true.
Honestly, I don't think gay guys like Taylor Swift. They like Beyonce. They like Madonna.
They love Madonna.
Yeah, They don't like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no, they love Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, Happy Franco Friday.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Which Franco?
James Franco?
James Franco
sure.
or Spanish Franco?
Serenco Productions said, not all sequels are named insert name to EB. What?
Like Too Fast, Too Furious.
I watched Fast 4 when we were in California. I watched Fast 5 last night. They'll never get old to me. They're awesome. I don't care what anyone says.
Corey Anderson said, Owen Benjamin and Nick Fuentes are one in the same.
Have you ever seen both of them in the same place at the same time?
I don't think I have. Shane H. Wilder said, never let Brett hear Dylan's 20-minute song about the sinking of the Titanic. He'd end up in a coma.
Seriously, if the dude could talk any slow, he's just talking. He's not singing. It's not singing.
Here is a story about hurricane.
I suck.
Like, you rarely hate things or people.
Yes.
So I'm kind of surprised by this.
Like, I'd hate him more if I didn't fall asleep every time he sang something.
If I'm going to watch a biopic on musicians, I want to watch a movie about Depeche Mode, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, 100%.
Depeche Mode, 100%. Best band ever.
Any others?
Brand new. David Bowie.
David Gorin has a great story, or whatever. Or how do you pronounce his last name? Not Gorin. It's
I forgot.
But he's that guy's got like a great story. He overcame addiction and everything like that. It's great.
I saw Depeche Mode last year.
Is it Gahan? Somebody in the chat will. I'm not a Depeche Mode.
I saw them live last year, and it had to be one of the all-time best concerts.
Favorite song from them?
It's No Good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my favorite song. And when they played that at the concert, it was just like I went to
It was
Nirvana.
lit.
It was lit.
To me, it's Policy of Truth.
Policy of Truth is
they
great,
then ruined when they did it for the Death on the Nile because they have to. It's a Hollywood movie, so they have to do a dark version of a pop song, and they ruined it with that one.
Can we watch the Hollywood trailer again?
Stripped is another great Depeche Mode song.
I think it would be time for that. Shane H. Wilder said, Fatty Arbuckle, he didn't even do it. Someone else did at a house party he was throwing. Random fact, Charlie Chaplin's large shoes came from him. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Fatty Arbuckle was innocent. We're Fatty Arbuckle truthers in this house.
Court Peary said, glad you're back. Hope it was worth it. They set the house on fire. Honestly, though, Kellen and Serge are a perfect combo. Like the new Bert and Ernie. I don't know how they would feel about that, but they are a great dynamic duo. I like them. Oh, you got it.
The next super chat is an inside joke.
Wah.
Wah.
Have you ever wondered about this particular thing? Because it turns out that that thing is real.
Every time they remix it.
Regular
The thing I referred to earlier?
It's happening.
Well, it's happening, and it will destroy us all.
Is this the Twisters trailer?
Should basically.
They should have. Wait, that would be perfect.
I've never seen a tornado like
And
this.
that someone is you.
Dun dun
You
dun
didn't
dun.
think it would be that easy, did you?
I don't think I'm the one. I'm not the person who can stop this thing.
You are that person. Now take my hand!
Light booze.
I miss the light booze.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I am the reaction.
Final block.
Love a final block. That
Yes.
Twister spun me right round.
Yep, it did.
Cobra Malibu Unlimited.
That's one of my top tier patrons.
Yo!
He said, no matter what Kino has done, I will still watch Wasted Hours.
He's talking about the time that Cobra came to my house, and well, some things happened that we won't talk about.
That stay in the Kino corner.
What happens in the Kino corner
Stays in the Kino corner.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Pat the Plumber said, wow, 2 times speed is some wild-ish, LOL.
In
You're
what?
playing this show on 2 times speed?
I apologize to anyone that's ever had to listen to me on 2 times speed.
Including yourself.
Yes.
You can do this on the 2 times speed.
This
The
happened.
backwards man, I can walk back as fast as you can't. You guys know it?
Every time Mary has to do the timestamps for the show, she has to watch the 2 times speed, and I start cringing from the sound of my voice at 2 times.
You don't
speed.
really cry out in pain anymore.
I'm kind of numb to it
Yeah.
now. It's
Yeah.
sad.
Pat the Plumber said, Brett.
Thank you for getting my name right that time.
He's encouraging you, but I don't know what for.
No, it's because after I said don't remember the last time somebody said my name actually correctly.
Well, there
He
you
did.
go.
So thank you, Pat.
Shane H.
Yeah.
Wilder said, thanks, TCL. I hate it. And your TVs are shit.
They should partner with the band TLC for some type
I
of
don't think they're a
advertising.
thing
they
anymore.
should put their shows on the network TLC.
Yes, they should.
Rising Underdog said, happy Friday, everyone. Fun episode today. Going to the Pearl Jam concert tonight dressed as Garth from Wayne's World. Party on.
That's awesome.
I was talking to another YouTuber, Zoomer YouTuber, just last week, and I was driving him in the car, and I was like, hey, I'm going to play some Pearl Jam. And he's like, who are they? I'm like, you don't know who Pearl Jam are? He's like, no. He goes, they must not be famous. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Also, if Pearl ever hosts her own event, it should be called the Pearl Jam.
Wouldn't that be like copyright infringement?
The Pearl Jam.
You can put the, and it wouldn't be, okay.
Like if she ever hosts like an audience meetup, it'll be called the Pearl Jam.
I mean, that should just be her podcast name. Yeah. Hiroshima Otaru said, please stop using creative as a noun. I'm sorry, I should say creators instead of creatives. Rhaegar Targaryen said, Hiroshima Otaru is a satisfying name to hear. It rolls right off the tongue. Also, Hiroshima, are you a creative?
Ask him.
I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is.
Corey Anderson said, you didn't get the Cops reference. Have you not seen the cinematic masterpiece, Step Brothers? I thought this show was called Pop Culture Crisis.
Believe it or not, you don't get every reference every single time somebody says it when you're doing other things. Yeah,
after that, you should have been like,
It's like, it's kind of like, what I equate this to is like, imagine you're like in a conversation with someone, you're down at like an event, right? And you're talking to someone like this, and somebody just walks up to you and says a reference to something without context to anything else outside of like the big pop culture references like Star Wars or Star Trek.
I don't even get those.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you need a clue a lot of the times to the context. Like I've seen the movie Not Another Teen Movie like a gazillion times, but if you just made a reference to it, I wouldn't necessarily get every one of them instantly.
Even if you talk to like the people who worked on the movies, they might not get it. I remember Luke Wilson told the story about how he was working on this film, and it was like 7 a.m. and he goes to Starbucks to get a coffee. He's standing in line, and the guy behind him goes, "Do you think you have?" He's like, "I don't think you have enough time for a hand job." And then Luke Wilson is just like, "What the hell? Like, why did you say that to me?" And he goes, "It's an Idiocracy reference." And Luke Wilson said, he was like, "It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and I don't even remember all my lines from Idiocracy."
I thought you were just harassing me. Gordon Shumway said the original Terminator movie was a copy of an Outer Limits episode called Soldier. The writer sued James Cameron, and they settled out of court. In the home video version, it acknowledges the author.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't make the movie any less awesome.
That is true.
Hiroshima Otaru said Pecos Bill was a cowboy, and Paul Bunyan-like character who had tall tales, one of which is that he lassoed tornadoes.
Hey, let's go. I'm down for watching somebody lasso a tornado.
Glenn Powell
I think that happened in that show, Xavier Renegade Angel, actually. There's that episode about tornadoes.
Actually, now that I think about it, it's something they'd put in the trailer to a Marvel movie of a tornado. Or like Wonder Woman lassoing a tornado. Never mind. It's not cool. I don't want to see it.
First Last said, Mary's ape hate makes me uncomfortable.
Same.
Is that because you're an ape? Is that why you're uncomfortable?
We're almost halfway to a fourth crisis party, guys. Come on. Let's do it.
Magna Defender 98 said, why are journalists still obsessed with COOF? It's 2024 and they clamor for the return of mandates. Never mind that 99% of people are done with mandates.
Yeah, the new variant is called Flirt, which I love.
Wait, there's a new variant?
There's a new COVID variant called Flirt. Sadly, they missed out on calling it Flirt with an E, which is my favorite mimetic. Kind of like health with just an E.
Who pays attention to this stuff?
I saw that on Twitter today.
And speaking of Magna Defender, did you see that like the world's oldest activists trying to break into the case of the Magna Carta at a museum, and they're trying to break the case, but they're old.
Oh, for the climate?
Yeah. No, it was Just Stop Oil, I think. And it's like, and they're like doing this. And I'm like, bro, that's because it was written the year you were born. Like, they're just old and dying.
Just stick to the soup cans, I guess.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, it stinks video for Apes dropping tomorrow. Okay. We'll keep an eye out.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks. The Rumbling said, NOAA,
NOAA.
as in the government-run weather agency. Global warming. Also, Helen is a good host. Just pointing out his strengths. Pop, cringe, and conspiracy.
Kellen is fantastic.
We will have no Kellen hate. Incompetent hands. Oh, sorry. Next one is from John Barrett. He said Melbourne weather. Top of 66 Fahrenheit today and cloudy.
I remember one time I was skating outside, and it was like one of the first like fall days or like early winter days in Minnesota, and it was like 30 degrees. And I mentioned it in the video that it was like starting to get colder out, so you have to kind of get used to it. And somebody who lived in like a climate that uses Celsius, bro, was like, bro, why aren't you dying in a sweatshirt? Because it's like way warm. It's like, man, the troubles of living in a digitally connected world now. Back in the day, this wouldn't be a problem.
The troubles of having people use a backward system like Celsius.
I know, right?
Yeah, I agree.
90 should be hot, okay? 90 should be hot.
It sounds high.
It does.
Mr. Anderson said, I believe 12.5% of the Bible, which makes me an eighth theist.
That was clever.
The Manic Mustache said, I love how much Brett hates Dylan.
I just can't. I just can't. It's just awful.
Is there anything else you hate this much? This is new for me.
There's other things that I don't like. Yeah, I'm sure. I'd have to think of them in the moment. I try to live my life not hating things, but I'm from Minnesota, so people would always... Like, look, in the land of Minnesota, be somebody who likes Prince, not Bob Dylan. That's all I'm saying.
I'm trying to think. There are things that make you angry, but you try not to show people that you get angry. You try to hide it.
I don't try to hide it. It's just they don't usually come up on the show. There was like a time when I was ranting about this song from this woman that I did to you about. It was like an ode to
Ava Max.
No.
You hated the Ava Max Barbie song.
I hated that too. I was like, why would you ruin an amazing song in Aqua's Barbie Girl and make it a feminist anthem, you absolute twat. But
yeah, just Brett, when he sees Bob Dylan, he's like, I'm mad as hell,
and I'm not
gonna take it anymore.
Exactly. I don't like your stupid curly hair and your stupid gravelly voice. And
stay away from the curly hair.
I just remembered the Ava Max lyrics are like, you can't touch me there, not unless I say so.
Who said you could? That wasn't even okay when the original Barbie Girl came out. It's never okay to touch someone when they say it's not. Like, what are you talking about? She also she talks about like, I can afford to buy dinner. What do you want, a cookie?
Teach Ken's not to rape.
It's not okay to do that unless you're the Kino corner alone with Cobra Malibu Unlimited. I know you're watching.
In the Kino corner.
The point of that stupid song, she's like, I can afford to buy my own dinner. I'm like, women make more than men these days. Anyways, that's not the point. Guy takes a girl out on a date and pays because it's part of the courting process, you idiot.
Yeah,
Max,
I say that
you.
Guys always have to pay for the date. If you're not really into the girl, that's why you do coffee dates, right? If you don't really know, that's why the first date's a coffee date, because you can ditch early and you don't have to spend that much money. But if you want her to be your girlfriend, yeah, pay for the date.
All right.
See, feminists ruined it.
Kino corner dating advice.
Yeah. Also, just, don't be too weird, but sometimes girls like it when you're too weird. So maybe sometimes.
Shoot your weird shot, I guess.
Yeah. Look her in the eye when you're talking to her. That tends to help a lot.
Yeah. Only look her in the eye when you're eating, not when you're talking. Yeah. Like every time you take a sip, make intense eye contact and then look down.
Yeah. In some cultures, that's considered very disrespectful. Now you're scaring me.
Are you gonna marry her? Garth, marriage is punishment for shoplifting in some countries. See, you wouldn't necessarily get that reference without the name Garth if I just randomly came up and said it to you at a random moment.
Look, we're not autistic in here, okay?
Okay.
I get called.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Yash said, thanks for being my background noise, Bryce and Madeline.
The names get more and more ridiculous.
I like
every
Bryce Dysovic. Shane H. Wilder said, I used this as a template for the PCC trailer to see if anyone would catch it. LOL. We love the PCC trailer.
We do.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, you sound like a snarky Bond villain in 2 times speed.
Me or Mary?
I think you.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'd rather be a menacing Bond villain. Like
Snark.
I always liked the part in GoldenEye when Trevelyan goes, what, James? No glib remark? No pithy comeback? I'm like, bro, you're at like the bottom of a satellite 8 gazillion feet off the ground and you're using glib and pithy in a sentence. That's totally something a writer says.
If you know the words, you got to use them.
And then like when they put it in the video game, I'm like, you should have changed it.
Hiroshima Otaru said, wait, Mary, you don't know Paul Bunyan either. No, I don't.
Wait.
Why do you care?
You don't know the story of Paul Bunyan?
No. Do you want to tell me or no?
No, just go to Northern California. There's a big old Paul Bunyan statue up in Northern California. And then you can learn the story there with his ox or his mule or whatever.
I'm not going to do that, sorry. Gordon Shumway said, I met Matthew Lillard once and I said, hack the planet. He got it and thanked me. My fanboy moment.
Hack the planet.
Hack the planet.
I wonder if Johnny Lee Miller would get hackers references if you made them to him.
Considering it's been 30 years since they made Hackers, I would say no.
Like, I bet you he'd get Train Spotting references before he'd get Hackers references.
Yeah.
He's like, bro, all I remember from that movie was Angelina Jolie was hot and we were dating.
Drewish AF said, get Neil Breen to direct Gollum.
I will destroy the corrupt people in Mordor. All the corrupt Sauron.
I say get Aaron Sorkin to make the whole thing a walk and talk with Gollum.
Have you guys seen Neil Breen? He does pretty great, green screen effects in his movies.
I have not.
Well, no, his movies are like famously like some of the worst films ever made.
Awesome, do it.
Yeah.
The Last of My Kind said Dune 85 inner voice was way too quiet, or at least the remaster on Max. The Pearl, the Jam, to Pearl, to Jam, back to the Pearl Jam, Rise to Return of Pearl.
To Eddie, to Vetter.
Corey Anderson said, I hate myself. I just want to make you laugh.
I want to say something about this Last of My Kind guy.
Okay.
Oh,
right. Okay. The inner voice was way too quiet. You know what I hear? I hear get good and I hear skill issue. Okay.
Corey Anderson, I believe, has a question for Brett. What is worse, Dylan or Mocha? # justice for Mocha.
The worst thing that could ever happen would be like a montage of Mocha with a Bob Dylan song playing over it.
I don't even want to think about that.
I might actually end up in that documentary for the Golden Gate Bridge, the bridge about all the people.
I'm actually going to be
dark.
in the documentary, but it's not something I should probably be. If I want to keep work, it's probably something I shouldn't be telling people.
There were no signs. Okay. Pat the Plumber said, I wish Mary liked something as much as Brett hates Dylan.
Me too.
What
do you like, Mary? What do you like?
What was the last thing
I'm being put on the spot right now. What
Mary,
was the last?
Do you like? I like a lot of things. I'm a positive person, Mary. I feel negative energy. I see a negative aura about you.
I like things.
Okay.
I just can't think of them right now. What? Movies?
Negative Nancy.
Movies? People?
Anything.
Look, I'm under pressure.
Negative Nancy over here.
When someone
Debbie
asks you what your favorite movie is.
Tree of Life.
Okay, most people don't know when you ask them that question.
I know. Mine's Heat.
Good for you.
Heat's a great movie. Heat's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just keep going.
Okay, how about
Shane
this?
H.
What
Wilder.
movie have you rewatched the most? Oh, she likes Taco Bell. She loves Taco Bell.
I guess, yeah.
Is there a movie you've watched more than any other?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard to think of these things on the spot.
I know a movie I probably see more than any other. That's called Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
There you go.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, stop crying. It'll be okay. Yeah, my eye is still crying right now. It's getting hard to manage it. Yoshimo Otaru said, do you at least know John Henry? No.
What?
First Last said, Mary has proved American culture is truly dead. Great. We're done reading super chats now.
I agree with First Last.
Gordon Shumway says you look like Gordon Shumway says at Shane H. Wilder, looks like you have a challenge to make her a meme of Mocha singing Dylan songs. What say you? Can't do that because they'll get copyrighted. And I bet you Bob Dylan enforces those copyright laws very boringly. Is boringly a word? I have no idea.
It's a word if you say it.
Can't think of a name. Says, I love how Brett and I seem to dislike the same artist. The only exception seems to be Madonna, though. I don't give a crap about Madonna. Not really. Though I guess I liked... I liked her. I thought she had an okay song for her Bond movie. The Die Another Day song was kind of a bop, even if a lot of people didn't like that movie. I did like the part, though, where like North Korea stings James Bond repeatedly with scorpion venom. Yeah, it was good. All right. And High Voltage 75 says, Mary, are you wearing once-a-day contacts? They're better for eye irritation.
No, and I'm going to continue sleeping in my contacts.
Do you do that?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Why?
Because I don't like waking up and not being able to sleep.
I love this. Mary, I'm crying out of one eye and I have no idea why. Also, Mary, I sleep in my contacts.
But it doesn't always happen. It depends on the day. $20 from Marshall. He said, since Kino skipped Sydney Sweeney Day, can someone give him a titty twisters?
I told you my personal trainer was going to be in the chat.
That's your personal trainer?
Yeah. Marshall, when I get back, you can give me titty twisters, but just not when I'm bench pressing.
We're getting close to that fourth crisis party. I'm gonna make it like what are they doing over in Colombia? Hunger strike? Well, actually, I'm not hunger striking for shit.
Actually, Marshall, you can't give me titty twisters. You're strong. I'm afraid.
Pat the plumber said Taco Bell and Jesus. I think that's merch potential.
There you go. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We all love Jesus in
Guru
this house.
said, "Mary, Brett's gay. Let's date."
I don't get the reference. I'm gay, so they want to date you?
What does that have to do with you?
Those are non sequiturs.
Also, Brett's not gay. Thank you very much. Shane H. Wilder said, I would get copyrighted to shit. If I did, I would use one of his 30-minute songs. Sorry, Brett.
I mean, the beauty of that is like, whether it's 30 minutes or 2 minutes, I can still turn it off after 1 second.
Just don't upload it to YouTube. Just upload it to Twitter or something, and they don't really care as much there.
I just can't. I can't with Bob Dylan, man. His voice is so annoying. Like, actually, never mind. I figured out what the worst movie that could ever possibly exist is. Like, the only thing that would be even worse is if then Bob Dylan narrated his own movie. Then I'd have to listen to him narrate a movie and then hear him talking as his character as well. That would be truly horrible.
I mean, I can think of worse movies.
And then one more from Drewish AF. Oh, no, there's another one up there from The Rumbling.
I don't have it.
It says,
here.
Mary, I love Lamp via Anchorman.
Thank you. Well, I would have gotten the I love Lamp thing, but thank you for, at least including that.
And Drewish AF says, I got an ulcerated cornea from sleeping in contacts. Well, Mary likes to live dangerously, folks.
Danger is my middle name.
Serenko Production says, so I'm hearing AI Cartman cover? Let's go?
Of Bob Dylan? Would you listen to it then? You love AI Cartman covers.
I do love AI Cartman covers. That's an interesting question. I'd have to go look and see which ones exist, if any. And then it might just
look it up now.
It might just be worth it to see that, to see if AI Cartman covers exist. AI Cartman cover.
Well, while you're looking it up, I actually just got word that there is the sequel to this Planet of the Apes movie actually came out in the 80s. It's called Max My Love, Max Mon Amour, and it's about a female woman who falls in love with a chimpanzee. And
female woman?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
She falls in love with a chimpanzee, and so I think canonically, Max Mon Amour is supposed to be a sequel to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So, if you guys are Apes Maxing, you got to go watch that one now. It's a very touching love story.
There is an AI Cartman cover of Mother by Danzig, which could slap. All right, guys, we got one more here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, Johnny's in the basement mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement thinking about the government.
Yeah, that's the Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Look, I'm starting to think if maybe it's just one of those things that you grow up someplace where their music is so common. But then again, like I said, I love Prince, and Prince is from Minnesota.
I think that one of the issues with music now is streaming. Everyone just kind of has their, everyone just kind of has their own like niche tastes. You don't really see a lot of bands that bring a lot of people together, or like bands that kind of exist in that like huge cultural space. It's like people knew David Bowie lyrics or Queen lyrics or whatever. Like even if you weren't big fans of them, like you typically
in
knew
the
some of their
land
stuff.
Of the Bobs, I'd rather listen to Bob Seger any day of the week. I would.
I'm not a huge Bob Seger fan, but
better than Bob Dylan as far as I'm concerned. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. If you hung out for the whole stream, wow, thank you so much. That is awesome. And Kino, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Let everybody know channels where they can find you, all that good stuff.
You can find me on the Kino Corner. That's my YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc. I'm also a co-host on a podcast called Is It Kino that I do with Mumkey Jones and Florian Himsel. And right now we are reviewing every episode of Velma.
Wow.
Every weekend.
Individually?
No, we do 2 episodes at a time.
Okay.
But every weekend we all get together.
That's awful.
Mumkey Jones, Florian Himsel, Weekend Warrior, E-Rich, and myself. We get together and talk about...
Well, is it Kino?
Well, no, it's not Kino, but you get to listen.
I'm shocked.
You get to listen to us talk for an hour about how much we hate it, as well as just random other bullshit that we decided to bring up.
Wow, it seems like you hate everything and you just have a negative aura.
I love things. I love Challengers.
You did?
I did. That was shot on film as well.
Okay.
That was shot on film. And I love The Beast. And I love my family. And I love God and Jesus. And I love...
God and Jesus.
Well, you know, Trinitarian worldview, right?
Yes.
And the Holy Spirit. And, you know, I love America.
I agree with that one. I agree with that one. Except for the America with Bob Dylan in it, then.
Well, hey, that America with Bob Dylan in it is not going to last very much longer.
It's kind of like when they talk about like the Born in the USA and Bruce Springsteen. Like, have you ever heard Bruce Springsteen talk? Dude sucks.
I have not heard Bruce Springsteen
dude
talk.
Sucks. All right, Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
God knows I do.
Yep.
What?
Send you hate on X.
You do?
No, but
I haven't seen any hate from you on X.
I like being nice. I just wanted to.
You're a nice guy.
I just wanted to say something cheeky.
Okay.
It's very British of you to say cheeky. All right, guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch. I also want to once again draw your attention to the fact that tomorrow we will have both our Mr. Burcham red carpet video as well as our Mr. Burcham review up. The video with all of the red carpet interviews and all of that good stuff will come out at 11 a.m. and the review of the first episode will come out at 7 p.m. So please stay tuned for that. I think you'll enjoy both of those segments. It was a lot of fun to make and experience, so check that out. Also, if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we were banned at Pop Culture Crisis. They're going to be banned soon. And on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Right? Yeah, I was about to say.
That was correct.
No, and please go ahead and submit hashtag PCC Pets on Twix so that we can have more cute of the day for that, guys. And we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see you then. Bye guys.